Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Part 2, episode 139 of Salt of the Streets. My name is Donovan.
I am Colin.
Thank you again for joining us. We are very happy to have you guys here. Thank you very much, Zeke, for joining us. Hey, guys, what part are we on? I'm watching from Norfolk, Virginia today.
Norfolk, Virginia.
Part 2, baby boy. In this segment, we are going to be talking about the Twitter files.
Twitter files.
Quick breakdown of drop number 1. Then we're going to go over drops number 2 and 3 in their entirety.
And more to come. There's probably some dropping right now.
Right. So, of course, Twitter, you can follow us. I'm at Salt of the Street on Twitter and at alpaca_Donovan on Instagram. And Colin is at Big Bird Offie on both those things. Wherever Instagram.com, Salt of the Streets, Patreon.com/Salt of the Streets. Go there, sign up, help us make more, better content just like this. And you can find all this at saltofthestreets.com. Obviously, you are here on our YouTube.com/Salt of the Streets. Like, subscribe, share this with your friends, tell everyone about it. This segment is brought to you by Lexi Kayo on Twitch.
Woo!
Make sure that you are evaluating and adjusting your relationship with the CCP every opportunity that you can.
Beautiful.
That is it, I think.
You're nailing it today.
Thank you very much.
It's a good thing we don't have date and time on part 2. Otherwise,
Yeah, that'd be rough.
I'd have to chastise you a little bit. But
Yeah. So I have a question
too
for you to
good.
start off this segment as well. We can do another if you want.
Sure.
With that, let me ask you this.
I
So-
hate how it does that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna fuck with the video file again and just remake it
I like it.
because the other one works fine.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
which is weird.
Yeah, Michael Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I love that so much. I love it so much.
That's awesome. Okay, so the Twitter files, right? There's a lot going on with Twitter. We've been covering this. Elon Musk. Oh, let's get some beers going before we get this.
I was gonna say, ask me the question and then pour the
Yes.
beers while I answer.
Yeah, that's a good one. So,
You guys didn't see that, but he cracked the beer open and the foam just splat
Yes, it
all
did.
over his computer.
Yes, it
You want a paper
Yes, it
towel?
did.
You
take
got-
one.
okay.
We got tissues. Yeah, this will be all right. Just
Okay.
type. a
Tissues
little
will be
bit.
softer.
Type. 666. That's what just.
Whoa.
That's what I got on my computer here.
It's better than what I said before the podcast started.
This smells like a perfume. This beer. Jesus Christ.
It's very aromatic. Yes, as we say in the beer world. It's this is it is what this is a Belgian triple ale, and it's a takeoff from my local favorite brewery called the Moat, the mother of all triples. That's what they call it. And it's a triple Belgian ale, which means it is super high test.
It's 11%.
That's a lie.
Wink.
I'll go ahead and say this right now because it's on the board when you go to the brewery. The can says 11%, but the board says 11.9. So there's a reason we're doing the small fancy glasses. But
Yes.
it is their typical Moat, which is a very strong beer, very strong Belgian beer. But to kind of get into the festive mood, they also brewed it with a shit ton of cherries. And so you got a really nice kind of like it tastes like Christmas for some reason. I don't usually think Christmas when I think cherries, but I think Christmas when I drink this beer. And if you go to the actual brewery, you can get the cinnamon sugar rimmed glass.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
a nice touch.
Fancy.
I'm
I mean,
fairly sure that we had a discussion. Oh, here, let me go to your regular camera. There you go.
look
It's an
how
awesome.
incredible that is.
It's an awesome can. Shout out Echoes Brewing.
Yeah.
I'm fairly sure I was relatively instrumental in the sugar rim or the sugar cinnamon rim on the glass because I remember having a conversation with one of the guys that works there about that, and it was like a thing. Like I don't remember who exactly was there with me that day, but I'm pretty sure the group that is loosely affiliated with me going to Echoes was helped be responsible for the sugar rim glass. Pretty sure.
You fancy style
Look
motherfucker.
at that. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Cheers. Let's have our small 12% beer. Oh, fuck, it's so good.
It's not as intense as you would expect it
It's
to be.
problematic.
It doesn't like taste as wild as it
It's
smells.
not, it doesn't even taste as heavy. It was your wife. That's what I was thinking. I'm sorry, baby. I didn't want, I just, that's why I tried to be real general with that one. But yeah,
Donovan's
it was
fault
you.
We're not recording on Saturday.
I'm
I
fairly
did this.
sure. I'm fairly sure it was my wife's idea, And that's the only reason why they're
That's
doing that at
hilarious.
the brewery now. I'm going to give you full credit for that one.
I love that.
She's
So-
like, you son of a bitch.
So let me ask
That's the problem
you,
with going to the brewery and having memorable things happen when you
12% beers.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
So Twitter, right?
Twitter.
When Elon Musk took over, Kanye West, among many other people, were allowed back on Twitter.
I know where this is
right?
going.
Kanye West was then rebanned off of Twitter. There's a lot of people, especially on the conservative tilt, that are saying, you know, is Twitter really different now that Elon Musk is at the head of it? So that's my first question. Then I have another one on the back of it. Is Twitter really different? Is this an indicator to you, the Kanye West thing, that Twitter's not really different? That they're going to still be banning on the same shit? Or
Twitter is definitely a very, very different place than what it was pre-Elon Musk purchase. It was Messias, but I was with you. Okay, cool. Let's just say we agreed, and
pretty sure that Colin is a trendsetter.
yeah, that's how this is working.
Pretty sure was what I heard.
I did this. I'm just going to go ahead and just do that now. I am solely responsible for it.
This was my idea.
Oh, okay,
Come up with
okay.
this beer
Twitter.
and the rim.
Yes, and
It's
some might say it was a nope, not going to say it.
Oh! Whoa!
Okay, but yes, Twitter is a much more fun place to hang out ever since Elon came into town. As far as banning rules, practices, so on and so forth, suspensions,
Yeah.
I believe is the name of the game. Because he's relatively hard set on no perma bans, period, except for a couple people. But and at this point, I'm fairly sure.
Because so Kanye is not permanently
I don't
banned.
think he's permanently
suspended?
banned. I think he's suspended.
Okay.
Because he got suspended more than once already. But this one, I think, it was in his very peak manic moments of, you know, he loves Hitler and whatnot.
So as far
And it
the-
was like a whole
the
deal.
swastika Star of David thing. That
Yes.
Tim Cash was like, really, it's part of another religion that's like,
It's a cult. But yeah,
who
it's
fucking cares?
we
You
know
I'm
what the
saying?
context was for, right?
Yeah, who fucking cares?
But yeah, this came after he posted that, and that was going to be like his fucking, like, his campaign's logo or some shit like that. It's a Star of David, but on the inside of it, there's a swastika that ties the lines together, and it's of poor taste, obviously. But
what an idiot.
the main deal here now, right, as far as Twitter and suspensions are concerned, obviously, illegal content, actual illegal things, 100%. That's still not okay, obviously. They're working really heavy right now on child exploitation material, which turns out was completely underfunded beforehand,
Yeah.
which is something we'll get into as the segment goes on.
And Jack's taking that one personally, right?
He is definitely taking it personally.
We never
and
did that in the almost logo. Let me show you the fucking receipts, bitch.
Exactly. Yeah, which I got those tweets. We'll bring those up
Oh,
a little
yeah.
bit. But the name of the game now is whatever Elon wants goes. It's kind of a more personal thing at this point. He made a big deal about not bringing back Alex Jones, and if we if we remember why Alex Jones was suspended off of Twitter in the first place, it had nothing to do with anything Sandy Hook related, which is the excuse Elon Musk gave for not bringing him back.
Why was Alex Jones banned
It
off
had
of
to
Twitter?
do with it was pre-Gen 6. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but it was well beyond the
some
Sandy Hook
COVID
stuff
shit or
already. I
something?
think it was COVID stuff. I honestly don't exactly recall, but it was well past, like, Sandy Hook hadn't been re-brought up into the main spotlight again. That is just relatively recently.
Okay.
And so, but that's the justification he gave, which in turn just tells you what it really is Elon just doesn't want him on his platform. So he said, no, go fuck yourself. You're not coming back on. And if fucking Kanye West is out there going fucking psychopathic right now, doing whatever it is that he's doing, a thing that's going on, Elon says you can't be posting that stuff. You post that Star of David with the Hitler cross on there. We know what you're doing.
Right.
Call it the, context from other platforms and stuff like this. I mean, you could kind of try to pull together some old school Patreon banning type justification. You're responsible for content you post outside of Patreon. That'll get you up banned off of that. if
Like the YouTube
if you piss
comments.
off Elon, he's gonna pull you off.
Okay, so then let me push back on you and ask you this: if that's the case,
I'm not saying it's good or
then-
bad.
No. But if that's the case, then how is it really different if people can still be banned for essentially an ideological reason? That's because the Elon doesn't like you.
One-
like, why is that different?
It's
than
because
people getting
one is-
banned before.
Because one is the old school one, and you'll see the inner workings of it
Okay.
today when we get into the third part, which is all about the ban of Donald Trump. One was like a systematic. It was a system. It was a machine that worked
Yeah.
through people, a very small group of people, but it was like processes. They're trying to figure out how to justify it. They're doing this, they're doing that. They're trying to work within this system of, terms of service or whatever, versus the new way now is just Elon says, I don't care, just pull them off. I don't give a shit. I own this thing. It's not a terms of service thing. Just get them the fuck off.
Which is different, but not necessarily better.
Yes, it's different. That's the only thing. It's not better or worse. I don't think Kanye should be off. I'm not, you know me. I'm a
Right.
pretty absolutist type of guy, but
Well, don't fucking tell Mehdi Hassan that, because according to him, a free speech absolute doesn't exist. That's not real. I've heard a lot of people say that at least recently, and I don't.
well, coming from Mehdi Hassan, who is a blatant authoritarianist, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I struggle to understand how it's impossible for someone to be a free speech absolutist when you just don't care. If you don't care, it's very easy to be an absolutist because I don't care what that person is saying. It's not.
I would
relevant to me.
rather, get on and say a bunch of really stupid shit, and then everybody dogpile on his ass and call him a fucking idiot to his
Yeah.
face, like 1,000% over. When you rely on suppression of speech alone to suppress bad speech or bad think, all that does is empower it in the darkness. When you put that stuff in the shadows, there's going to be people that support that stuff in the shadows, support it just for the sake of fighting against the suppression itself, versus you air out a bad idea, and generally speaking, enough good ideas come against it, various versions of it, whatever. There'll be I have faith in humanity enough, I suppose, that the better speech will win out, and the bad ideas will be called out for what they are.
Yeah.
And especially when you're talking something like Nazism, Hitler love, white supremacy, even, like, yeah, there's going to be a group of people that are like, yeah, fucking, white nation, blah, 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 Richard Spencer, this and that and the other thing. But the vast majority of people are going to be like, you guys are fucking stupid. That's dumb. Here's 1.5 million reasons why this is dumb. And then at that point, they're just a pariah and nobody takes them seriously anymore. Except for a small group of people, which you can't change that anyways. I think there's probably a good argument to be made that just by the simple act of suppressing a thing, it becomes more of it's like more of an edgy thing to like be okay with, or like to entertain these thoughts, when if they're ridiculed as they should be, people aren't going to entertain those ideas as much.
Right. Defeat
But-
them with better ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if Kanye going out there saying he loves Hitler is a fucking joke, everybody knows that is that's a ridiculous thing to say, and if you honestly believe that, you're a fucking idiot. And we're all going to treat you like that now. Yeah, there's going to be a small group of people who are like, yeah, actually, I'm down with that for whatever reason. But when it's called out for the pariah that it is, the vast majority of people are going to be like, yeah, that's fucking stupid, dude.
Right.
So
let me ask you this then. I was watching a Russell Brand video earlier this week, and he made a point that I thought was very good, talking about Elon Musk and saying that Elon Musk is a billionaire, right? And most
Fact
of
check,
his
true.
companies, most of his companies, if not all of them, have very large financial ties and incentives with the federal government. And if he is tied that closely with the powers that be, how well insulated is he really from that type of influence and that type of control? And is it wise for, and I'm not saying this is what you're doing, but a lot of people are, I think, is it wise for us to be looking to him as some sort of social media savior if we don't really have any reason to believe that he's not going to do the exact same shit that everybody else is doing.
Where to start on this one? So a lot of the ties, we'll say, with his other companies in the government are to get paid, right? As far as SpaceX goes, as far as Tesla goes, I mean, taking a lot of subsidies and this, that, and the other thing, because if there's money on the table to be had, why not grab it?
Well, so hold on. So for Tesla, right? If they didn't, my understanding for the last 2 years, if it weren't for the electric vehicle credits that they got from the federal government, they would not have been a profitable company. SpaceX,
That's my understanding too.
SpaceX has huge ties with NASA and the federal government in getting their funding for this type of shit. I don't know where the profit margin is on SpaceX as far as the federal government incentives go, but I know there's a lot of federal dollars being floated through these companies that are helping keep them afloat for him to do the shit that he's doing.
100%. And I don't fault him for that necessarily. Like, I get it.
Right.
I understand why he's doing it because, like I said, like if the money's there to have it,
Certainly.
particularly with SpaceX, who, generally speaking, there's a very, very small group of entities or institutions out there that have the ability or need to put something into space. Now, if I become the single private entity that can offer that in the private industry compared to the government, instead of only relying on NASA or other nations that have space programs to get like my comm satellites up there, if I'm AT&T and Verizon and all this stuff, or if I'm the government itself that needs to put other satellites up there for whatever fucking reason, or to the scientific programs around the world that fund the International Space Station and stuff like that. But up until SpaceX came around, it was only the governments of the world that could do that.
Right.
He's a private enterprise now that can offer that. And so by the nature of the business itself, the vast majority of his business is going to be coming from governments, I would imagine, at that point, because they still have needs to get their stuff up into space. And we know for a fact the government is really, really bad at funding that kind of shit and getting their own space program up and running and getting shuttles into space.
Right.
Versus Elon can do it really, really quick, really, really cheap comparatively. And so, of course, everybody has an incentive to do that. But it does. I mean, it's not like a vigilant eye is not required. You still need to watch and pay attention to those. I just wouldn't fault him necessarily for doing those.
No. And I'm not faulting him for that.
yeah,
The
yeah.
question is not why is he doing it? Because the business is what the business is, right? The question is it wise for us to trust him as this, like I said, some sort of social media savior if we don't have...
Like a benevolent dictator type of deal.
Even if it's a synchronistic relationship that he has with the federal government, that they kind of need each other. If the federal government says at some point, listen, we're going to get our tax dollars no matter what. You don't necessarily need access to these dollars if you're not going to do what we're asking you to do. Is it wise for us to trust that he won't bend the knee to that if it's going to cripple his ability to do the other things that he's doing?
Yeah. I think...
and I don't know.
It's a
I'm just
difficult...
asking.
Yeah, because it's a difficult question to ask, really, or to answer, because it's never really been done before.
Well, listen, I need an answer to this question right fucking now.
I will tell you personally, like, why I get warm and fuzzies, if you will, from this. And that's mostly because... Oh, doggy's getting into something. It's mostly because of
Move on.
the pushback.
Move on.
Is she trying to get in like some Christmas shit?
Yes.
That dog.
She's trying to eat Santa Claus's backpack.
Oh, that's always a thing. Chloe, you have a wine bottle. For God's sakes. Drink your wine, you
Backpack.
wino. I understand the trepidation. And trust is generally, it should be earned, obviously, not just given. I think up to this point, we don't really have any indicators to say we shouldn't trust him about that. But there is a lot of people that don't trust him. They don't trust his ties to, like, China. They don't trust his ties with the government through SpaceX and stuff like that. There's a lot of people that don't. And there is nothing to say that he won't fall prey to the same exact things. Up to this point, it doesn't appear as if he is, which is why I say, like, he requires, like, a very vigilant eye watching. And because it could go down. I mean, I think currently with the federal government coming as hard at him as they are, he's going to be under 3 different investigations now: Tesla, SpaceX, and Twitter. I think it's Twitter. It might be something else that he's involved in. But they're like, the feds are going to start coming after him and investigating him and stuff like that. That's a good sign for kind of a on the scales of trust at that
His
point.
independence from the Fed.
Yeah, if the feds are coming after him, he's probably doing something right. He's pissing a lot of people off. Elizabeth Warren thinks he's the devil. That's a good sign to me, you know. But
as far as liberty
no.
goes, yeah.
Yeah. But ultimately, like the one guy savior aspect is not the way to go. But it's not necessarily his fault that he's the only billionaire that's actually fighting back. We should ask the fucking billionaire world, why the fuck aren't they doing the exact same thing? Because it seems to be working out pretty well for him.
Right. Because
And they could be, but yeah, no, it's a personal thing. I have a great trust in Elon and what he's doing. I don't agree with everything that he does or says, or, you know, some of the things, how he goes about certain things, obviously. But right now, as far as the private sector goes, fighting back against the power of the government, he's like one of the only warriors that's out there doing the jam. So I'm into it. But it's important to watch him. Watch him, pay attention.
Because it seems to me that we are in a position where the only real chance we have for some type of freedom on the internet is for an ideological, or not ideological, but idealistic billionaire to buy a company like this to say, listen, I'm just going to let it be open. And that's not an ideal circumstance for
It's
that
not.
to be the only option, because most other people, and not most, a lot of other people think the only other option is for the government to do it. I don't think there's even less reason to believe the government will allow free speech to exist than there is that a billionaire will allow free speech.
Yeah, they got a
to
long
exist on the
track
internet.
record.
At least, and like you said earlier, it's not good, but at least when Elon Musk is doing something like not allowing Alex Jones on the platform, well, he just doesn't want the smoke.
It's
Like
pretty.
he's making he
he's
doesn't want the smoke.
He's being relatively transparent about it and why.
Without saying, I just don't want to deal with the bullshit.
Yeah.
He's given a nonsense, and he's internet enough that he knows that people are going to be like, well, that's bullshit.
Oh yeah,
You know?
and a lot of people have.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't. A lot of people are very upset Alex Jones ain't back on the platform. And, a lot of people upset when he suspended Kanye. It's, because obviously he had a particular stance going into this thing, and I think probably was abruptly confronted with the realization that, like, well, I can only be so ideological about it, and there are certain realities at which I'm going to just say, I'm going to have to step in and give a little bit of this and do a little bit of that.
Right.
But, I mean, with the release of the Twitter file stuff, which we'll talk about in generalities after we kind of get caught up to where we're at before the new drops came, there's still, even with what's going on behind the scenes now, there's still way more transparency now than ever before. And even if we're not going to fully know 100% of what's going on, it's still better than it was, yeah. But, yeah, you do got to be cautionary about the, for lack of a better term, the benevolent dictatorship thing. Because that's how you end up in, I mean, you watch Demolition Man, everything's Taco Bell, man. Everything in that movie is owned by a single corporation.
By and large, and Wally.
When you really think about it, what's that much different than what Elon Musk is doing? I mean, he's privatizing and monopolizing certain aspects of industry and business throughout the nation, throughout the world. So that itself has some dangers too. And when it comes to a privately owned social media company of this scale, and this magnitude and this power, I mean, there's a reason he's in the news every day, because it's not run by committee like the rest of them are, more or less. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg is technically in charge of all the other shit, right? Jeff Bezos is still in charge of, well, Amazon. That's not really the same deal, but Apple,
I get the
Alphabet,
sense.
that's all boardroom run. It's all stockholder run versus Twitter now. single proprietorship. I think he has a board of some kind of advisors, more or less.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what he says goes. He's not a president of a board that has to sit there by committee and take votes and shit. So it's something to watch, but it might be the best thing we got right now.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, there's a handful of other billionaires out there that we don't know their names, but they make the Forbes fucking top 10 billionaire list, top 10 richest people in the world list every year. They're not out there making moves like that. They're holding on to fucking hedge funds and
Right.
and making money off the economy like this. They're not doing
At least he's not
massively impactful cultural community based, like businesses like that.
True.
So we need more of those.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no matter what kind of society you want to run, even in an anarchistic sense, if I had my dream anarchistic world, there's going to be a group of very powerful elites.
Yes.
Every society needs powerful elites. In the best circumstances, they're transparent and people know them and can watch them and hold them socially accountable. But you still need those power brokers. You need those big movers and shakers, because some things cost billions of dollars to make a real impact.
Yeah.
If Elon Musk didn't get the money together, the $44 billion to buy Twitter, it would still be run by fucking Vigigati. Essentially. She acted essentially as she managed the whole deal. Everything that was run was basically her and Yoel Roth, or whatever his name is. That's not a good situation. This is
the COOs.
exponentially better off than it was before. Not ideal, but
But better than it was before.
yeah. And I'm kind of an Elon shill, so that's I'm a little biased, but
I know that you
trying
are,
to
and
be
that's
objective
why,
as I
know
can
you
here.
are, and that's why I was putting it on you.
Yeah.
It's because I know you are.
I'm trying to rationalize
No,
it in
I
some
like it.
capacity. And that's been, let me ask you this, part 2.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it.
Okay. So a quick recap of the original Twitter files drop.
Yes.
Came courtesy of Matt Taibbi.
And if you want a more thorough rundown,
yes.
you can go to Colin's Beer Show from 2 weeks ago, and you will be able to get a full rundown of the Twitter files drop number 1 and everything that it entails.
Indeed. So I was going to show it off real quick, but I'm not quick enough on the mouse.
Whatever.
Yeah, I think episode 34 of what it was called Twitter Bomb. And yeah, we literally went through text by text or tweet by tweet by tweet by tweet. The original Matt Taibbi thread that essentially went over oh my God, what was the first one about now? I'm all of a sudden drawing a total blank. Let me, let's just pull
The
it up.
first one had to do with the way that the federal government was pulling things down, requesting things be pulled down.
Yes, the communications between the FBI and the portal and so on and so forth. There you go. So go watch that. That's a whole deal. I was like, wait a minute, what was the first drop about? But we were promised at the end of that there was going to be plenty more to come. The next drop was going to come from Barry Weiss, and
formerly of the New York Times.
yes, formerly of the New York Times, who was axed after essentially she was like very, I won't say violently, but aggressively pushed out after having opinions that did not go with the New York Times narrative. It's a very dirty, creepy, kind of relatively threatening, if you ask me, Slack chats, and so she was unpolitely asked to get the fuck out.
What
So
she
she did.
Let's kill that bitch. I'm just kidding. I know it said that.
It was more like axe emojis after
Right.
talking shit about her on Slack and all that. But she now runs a
Should change
a
let me ask
Substack.
you this to let me ask you this.
You're not from Florida, bro.
No, but that would be funny.
I knew a girl from Florida, from one of the upper Floridas, where it gets deep. And she couldn't say ask. It was always ax. Let me ask you this. Like, I don't, you know what you're saying. Can you spell that for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways. Yeah, Barry Weiss runs a Substack now. She's got a podcast. Substack used to be called Common Sense, but had to rename it lately to, I think it's called The Free Press now. She'll be doing the next drop, or she did the next drop, and then Matt Taibbi did the third drop again. And then the next one to be coming out, I believe today, is coming from none other than Michael Scherenberger, Schernberger. He ran for governor in California.
Okay.
Lost in the primaries. He wrote a couple books. He's been on the podcast rounds about 6 months ago or something.
That sounds very familiar.
Yeah,
Okay.
Schellenberger,
Okay.
I think. Yeah, and for some reason,
Schellenberger.
there's a burger in the end of it. That's all I know. But yeah, he's going to be doing the
Burgers.
next one, which is strange as well. And then
Elon Musk is picking these people?
yes. Which
He's wild.
I don't understand. Well, we'll get into that because the fear,
Why isn't
the
he letting the
aspects
corporate
of
media
this.
do it, Colin?
or why is that is a question. That is a question. Actually, is why is the release going the way it's going? Why is it that it is being done on Twitter through Twitter threads with selective screenshots of documents?
Yeah.
There was a couple links I think at some point of an actual document here or an actual document there, but it's primarily just screenshots of Slack chats, of emails, of kind of like the behind the wall of Twitter and like the inner workings of like the
Because
coding and stuff like that. There's some things
Supposedly,
there.
these reporters have access to like a portal almost, right? Of all of these documents and all of this shit, right? Is that kind of what's going on? Or they're just requesting things from Twitter?
Well, it's a little unclear how exactly the whole mess of data is being handed to these people.
Yeah. We know at one point
But
there
they
was
do talk
the
about.
guy,
Go ahead.
we know at one point there was a guy, the special counsel or the lead counsel for Twitter.
Yeah, we'll get that.
Okay.
We'll get
All
that.
right. All right.
Right now, I just want to focus on the
Yep.
release
Yep.
aspects, right?
You're
And then
right.
we'll
I'll
kind
let
of
you guide.
we'll go from point A to point B because there was a break. That's really what I was trying to get at before I got sidetracked. There's a break between the original drop from Matt
Yes.
Taibbi to almost a week later, the second drop.
It's supposed to be the next day.
It was
right?
supposed to be the next day. It was because it was originally released on Friday. We did it live on the beer show. Then it was
Yep.
supposed to be Saturday.
Everyone's like, "What the fuck?" Or is it
Yes,
documents?
exactly. And so there were some issues going on. Nobody really knew what was going on, and we didn't really get too much of a heads up what was going on. So some things happened between point A and point B. But I don't want to get there yet. I don't want to
Alright.
get to point B yet. I still want to talk about the releasing aspect of things. The choice, how it went down was very, very strange. I didn't really talk about it too much on the beer show because we just focused on the content more or less.
Yeah.
But
It was still live at that point, right? They were still being dropped when you were doing
yes,
this. Yeah.
and actually, luckily we did get to the very end of the substantive drop that day. There was 2 more tweets I think after I closed the show, and it was just kind of like well, that's all for now, guys. Thanks for hanging out,
Okay.
type of things. More to come. Watch Barry Weiss next time. But all day it was Elon boosted it on his Twitter account, and everybody sat on Elon Musk's Twitter hitting fucking refresh for like 2 hours waiting for this thing to stop.
And where's my shit?
And what he did was post a fucking link to Matt Taibbi's Twitter that said, Twitter files, #1, the Hunter Biden laptop story. That's
Right.
what it was. It was the suppression of Hunter Biden laptop story. Boom. And so then everybody goes over to Matt Taibbi's page, and everybody's like, well, wait, what the fuck? I thought you were going to be releasing these. So it turns out that Matt Taibbi, a formerly, I forget where he was at the time, but he was a former corporate press guy that got out of the deal. He was
Rolling
drummed out.
Stone.
Rolling Stone magazine, that's right. He was chosen to be the first one. He's an independent journalist now, has his own
Yeah, he's
Substack
been doing
too.
his own thing for a long time.
Very good stuff, powerful reporting on all sorts of different things. And I think he's been pretty good on the social media censorship side of things.
He was big
too,
on the
so.
war front for a long time.
Big on the war
Afghanistan
front.
war front.
Yeah. And so he was chosen, and that a lot of people started to question that. Why is this happening? Why is it being handed out and parsed out in small bits and pieces?
Right.
Why is it being handled on the Twitter threads? Now, I think I have theories about all this stuff. I think Elon Musk is not releasing them himself because he's probably not the best narrative-driven person. He wouldn't be a good storyteller about this, which is why I think he's handing it off to journalists who will they will weave a yarn.
Yeah.
They will tell a story.
Be able to tell the story. Right.
give
okay.
narration to the story, which
Okay. Tell the story instead of just give the information.
yes.
Okay.
which itself has become contentious.
Right. Some people don't have the ability to look at the documents and fully be like, oh, fuck, this is what I'm looking at.
Yeah,
Okay.
like we don't know everything they're sitting on. It. They've made hints, Matt Taibbi and Barry Weiss, to say there's just so much to go through. There's so much to go through. Sometimes you miss things. We've been through these things multiple times, but you still miss things. So nobody really knows what it is that they gathered. But I did want to ask you about this. The main issue a lot of people are having right now is they're getting fatigued with the Twitter thread of the whole deal. And they're like, just give me a fucking giant WikiLeaks size
Article, right.
document drop, and let us go through this whole thing.
Okay.
And I think there's arguments to be made on both sides of it. Would you rather have it one way or the other? Or do you just not really care as long as somebody's doing the work?
It's probably arguably better for it to be done in the WikiLeaks style fashion because of exactly what these journalists are saying, that you still miss things. Then let's get 90,000 people's eyes on it, and you won't miss a fucking thing. Because with all those people going over all of the documents, you will find everything. They will find every single thing there is to find in those documents. However, you then also have to deal with people making shit up and photoshopping stuff and all that
Out
type
of
of stuff
context,
that you would have to weed through. So someone would still have to take all that information, ideally would still have to take that and try and kind of tell a story about it like you're saying, still kind of write an article about it, but you would probably get a fuller story if you did it that way. But it seems like you're still getting kind of at least the essence of what's going on through the Twitter files drops. You know?
If these voices can be trusted.
If the voices can be trusted.
From what they're selectively showing us.
And it says good things that Barry Weiss and Matt Taibbi come from different ideological spectrums. They are not by any means from the same side of the ideological spectrum at all.
I'd say they're both on the left, but that's about the closest generality you could align to them. They're both left of center, but that's about the only thing you could say really ties them together, I think.
Yeah, because I would say, and I don't know that much about Barry Weiss, but even just her acceptance within the conservative realm, she is not very far left. And Matt Taibbi is pretty far left.
He's left of center.
He's not a socialist or anything, but he's definitely very liberal. So...
Now, one of the other concerns that I hear voiced a lot when you're talking about like the massive data dump is attention capacity. A lot of people will be very, very excited at first, and there would be stories coming out from 1,000 different directions.
Yeah.
And the focus and the import would, I think, essentially be lost, and it would be lost relatively quickly. Legal minds would probably have better chances to make legal cases involved because they would have direct access to documents. They could go through everything, build cases. But as far as public perception is concerned, the way this is happening now, I think, is drawing the most attention to it and might be the best way to maintain longer-term attention. They don't take that long. They're usually a couple hours worth of drop, and you could read it. You could read through it. I think Matt Taibbi's yesterday was the longest one to come out to date, and it was long, and it still didn't take me that long to read through it, you know?
They're only 280 characters apiece.
Yes.
Tweets,
then sometimes there's pictures of like email chains and things like that that go with them sometimes. So that's, what do you think about that aspect of that? The attention lost if you do a massive data drop?
Yes. That makes sense because people's attention spans are about 2 seconds long. Especially
almost as long as a Twitter thread, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The other aspect people are saying why he's going with the Twitter drop style is because he's doing it to increase audience or attendance on the app itself, activity on the app itself. I mean, it makes sense.
I wouldn't be surprised from like. Plus, also it looks pretty good for the
good
platform.
On the numbers. Looks good on the
people
numbers.
have to come here to see what we're. Even if you read an article about the Twitter files, they're going to have links to the tweets, and if you click on one, it's going to take you to Twitter.
Yeah,
and it's going to be a hit for the website. So,
amen. And I think though it in a kind of a shilling aspect for it, maybe it's going to sound like that. It can showcase what the platform can be good for. Like, hey, we could do this kind of thing here. Let people know this isn't just a place for shitpost, and you can actually get some decent threads here and talk
And if
about
you were
what's
an
going on.
advertiser, then you could have an ad in
Amen.
between a couple of these here Twitter files.
Yeah, do you want to get an ad in between drop 21 and 22 here? What's going on there?
Right.
Okay, so let's get caught up here. So we talked about the media
Okay.
release aspect of it. Lots of problems people have with it. Some people agree with it, some people don't. It is what it is, and we're just gonna. This appears to be the way things are gonna go for the future.
This is how we're doing it.
It appears that way now. So now, what happened between part 1 and part 2? Why was there a delay? And this, thank goodness, Barry Weiss was involved at this point in time, because see what happened was Matt Taibbi had already done his first drop, right?
Should be digging.
They were trying to get access to more data from Twitter to go through more things, this, that, and the other thing, which I think probably talks a little bit about how this data is being harvested from our journalists.
Right.
Because it sounds like it was having to be, you were having to go through a middleman at some point. And this middleman at the time was general counsel at Twitter. I'm blanking on his name now. You just said it a minute ago. Formerly of the FBI.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
He
it's
was
right
the
on-
counsel.
Oh, was it Birch? No, it wasn't Birch. Did I write it down?
I don't know.
Sons of bitches. I'm sure I can find it. God damn it! But there was a guy at Twitter, right?
Yes.
It was the general counsel, and he was previously he was general counsel for working at the FBI, and he was deeply involved with the Steele dossier. He was deeply involved with the Russia
Russiagate.
collusion case.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Russiagate. Before he was summarily, not dishonorably, but he was quickly exited from the FBI, much like he was
Yes.
quickly exited from Twitter. Can you see if you can find that guy's name?
Yeah.
It's such a fucking basic name too. This is why I'm getting eluded. But he left the FBI because he was caught leaking to the media. And where did he go from there? He went to go work for Twitter in the general counsel office. And somehow or other, he was able to maintain his position at Twitter through
James Baker.
James Baker. Thank you. Jim. Who's Jim, by the
Jim,
way?
Yeah. Yes.
And so somehow or other, he was able to maintain his spot in the legal team over at Twitter through the regime change, which I think should be a red flag for Elon to continue to vet his employees. But during an email exchange between Taibbi and Barry Weiss, they were having a problem getting some of the documents, and she was looking at specific email chains and this, that, and the other thing, and she, these people were coming from Jim over at Twitter, and there was
Yes.
some pushback coming from there, and she goes, well, what's Jim's last name, by the way? And he goes, Baker. Jim Baker. James Baker. And then she said her fucking, her jaw hit the ground. And then immediately they kind of informed everybody that who this guy was, this, that, and the other thing. And he was actually vetting all the data that was given to Matt Taibbi and Barry Weiss at the time.
He's going over, he's vetting all that information.
All the info.
Without Elon Musk knowing about it.
Yes. And so nobody knew he was there. Nobody knew he was directly going through all the data to give Matt Taibbi selective data in the first Twitter
How
drop.
wild that no one knew he was there?
Word.
Like they didn't know he was working there.
Yeah. I mean, you've already slimmed down your employment that much. I mean, you got to have a better idea who's there and who's not. But
yeah.
who am I to say how a giant company like that works? But
So this, I have something to say about this. Jim Baker, right, before we move on. Don't have a better word for it. Surprises, quote unquote, surprises me that this type of like incestuous behavior between the federal government and social media, private sector, because it happens all over the place, is allowed to take place, is allowed or able to take place. And I don't know who should bear responsibility for that, whether the federal government should say, don't fucking go and do this, or if private companies should say, we're not going to have you work here. But regardless of whose responsibility it should be, it shows me that the federal government doesn't care about what their employees do when they're done. And and that they directly benefit from what their employees are doing on the back end, because definitely Jim Baker still has some type of connections with the people that are still working with the FBI.
100%.
But
we've talked about this before. There is not only a revolving door of people that work in government to go work in, say, like the military industrial complex.
Right.
It works in finance. People, I mean, the Fed and the Secretary of the Treasury and the Fed chairman basically just change out seats. Like there's a revolving door in most major industries. That's including big tech.
Right.
Particularly on the security side of things. A lot of people that worked at high levels within the cybersecurity world, at the Pentagon, within various alphabet agencies on the federal level and the executive branches, when they leave their jobs, they're going right into big tech. And there are a massive amount of people that work at high levels of not just the legal realm, but also just the cyber and coding realm at every single tech platform that we have. And you would be stupid. You'd be lying to yourself if you didn't think that there was a maintained, or if you're a conspiracy-minded person, a planned continued relationship after they leave the government into the private sector.
And it would be one thing if nothing suspicious ever happened, right? If they just went and worked in the private sector and it was all well and good. But this type of stuff continues to happen. Whether, like you say, you're talking about the military-industrial complex. We just went over we had a whole segment on episode 1 or 2 episodes ago about all the different foreign nations that our different military members or the different veterans are working for. So this seems like this is just what happens when the federal government and its workers are able to involve themselves in the private sector. This is just seems like the natural end, because this type of stuff continues to happen, that they're not able to separate themselves from the government that they used to be a part of. And
I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to pretend like it's weird. It's fine. The tree keeps turning on and off. Somehow or other it entered like a fucking blinking cycle. I don't know. Yeah, you're not wrong, because like we've talked about it in so many different aspects. Like we did that massive hit with the Washington Post stories and all that stuff about people going to work for other governments even and all that. I mean, of course this is the way it works, because it seems to have always worked this way. And the government has nothing more but to gain from having people at or in decent areas of the private sector. It's really bothered me now. I don't know. And yeah, we have seen that. And the third Twitter drop from Matt Taibbi goes into great detail about the massive collusion between the feds, multiple agencies in the feds, and Twitter itself. And I'm going to say this. I said it last night. I think if it's happening on Twitter, it's happening at every single tech platform. It's definitely happening on YouTube.
Facebook has the whole portal. They had the portal.
So does Twitter, too.
Right.
Twitter also had a portal. That came out relatively recently, too. And so if it's happening on Twitter, if we're seeing it there, the same exact thing, if not more so, is happening at these other places: Alphabet, Google, YouTube, Facebook, well, Meta for all that other stuff. Guarantee it's happening there, too. It's all there. This is just the first look behind the curtain that we have. And I think it would be unwise of people to assume that this is the only place it's happening, because that would be to disregard every lesson of governmental interference that we have learned throughout history.
Yeah.
It's always that way. If they're going to get in, they're not just going to get into Raytheon. They're going to get into all of them.
Yeah.
That's how that works. So that being said, eventually we got to Twitter drop number 2.
Yes.
This one coming from Barry Weiss, which luckily was a shorter drop than Matt Taibbi's last time. Alex in the chat. Do you suppose the MIC has now supplanted the petroleum reserve currency as the actual backing of the U.S. dollar? What's MIC? What's MIC? I don't know.
I don't know.
But of course, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what MIC is, but
quite a
the
question.
petrodollar right now is struggling at best, because we don't really have a hold on
No, at this point we're trying to
military industrial complex. I've never really thought of it that way, but I want to.
It seems all right. Going
let's
off
fuck
seat
with
my
this a little
pants
bit.
now. Okay, so
What?
I don't think that you're wrong because that would be a more stable form of currency for us. We
Tell it, baby. Think about it.
based off of Jesus, there's a lot of assumptions that go into this, but this is all off the cuff, right? Looking at Democratic leadership in the United States because it's looking like we're gonna trend this way, right? If we're assuming we have Democratic presidents right now, they are not showing a kindness to our oil production, right? Or our increasing of our oil production, which means we're gonna have to be getting it from other places.
Venezuela.
So our control over the petrodollar is going away. Our control over the military industrial complex isn't going fucking anywhere. And we just ensured that by sinking billions of dollars into Ukraine. And now I would
We backlog, bro.
I
We got
already
years of
said
weapons
and
development
would
paid
be
for now.
willing to barter. We're going to be involved in the EU for an awfully long time now. That's going to be our new cash cow because Joe Biden gave up what we had going on. And I'm not like, oh, poor us.
In
Gave
the
up
EU,
what we
like
had
the
going
European
on.
Union? Is that what you're
Yes,
talking about?
yeah.
Okay.
What's going on over there with Ukraine and all the Eastern Bloc countries as it once was, right? We're going to be involved in that area for an awfully long time now, more hands-on like we are now than we were 10 years ago because we had the cash cow of Afghanistan. We were still pulling money in, still all kinds of weapons flowing through there. That's gone. Joe Biden completely walked away from that, didn't even leave any possibility of profit for those corporations because he left all that military equipment there. They have
No
to
resale value.
They've got to make money somehow.
Garage sale
right?
that shit.
They have to make money somehow. And this is, like you said, there's a backlog now for the weapons that we need because of what we gave away. So even if all of the supplies to Ukraine stop today, which we obviously know they're not going to, there's already a backlog of shit that Raytheon has to make. It's going to take them months, they said, just to get the Patriot missile production back online. Then they're going to be cranking them out for years to come.
Yeah.
So it's not like it takes 10 minutes to make a Patriot missile. I don't know how long it takes, but probably a little while. Probably a little while. I don't know if you're even making
I wonder if it's
multiple-
as sleek and smooth in the manufacturing of it as like a car.
Right.
I don't know if there's like an assembly line for
How long
Patriot
does it take
missiles
to
like
make
that.
one car? How long does it take to make one Patriot missile? I literally don't know.
I'd be
But
curious.
You're probably not cranking
Alex,
out,
that's your next mission.
Yeah, you're probably
Find
not
out how long it
cranking
takes to
out-
make a Patriot missile.
You're probably not cranking out dozens a day. I wouldn't
It
imagine.
doesn't seem like it.
So.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, because with Ukraine, we'll just say, along with Ukraine, the only other partner at that point is in Taiwan. We've been doing small business with them lately. I mean, we cut off military sales or weapon sales to the Saudis. We did that. And so that's gone. So you got Ukraine and then you have Taiwan, which is just a splash in the, it's just a drop in the bucket comparative to what Afghanistan and Syria and Iraq and the entire Middle East was. Which, if you follow that thinking to its logical conclusion, Putin did just say the other day that the Ukraine conflict is going to be a long and protracted conflict. He told his people that on his state TV. So that's real good for the military-industrial complex. They like that because, the Ukrainian fighting spirit, if you will continue on until the last man, I think, from the sounds of it. So we'll always have somebody to send weapons to. But time will tell on that one.
So it takes to make a car.
Mm-hmm.
It makes. Let's see. What's amazing is the speed at which high production cars and trucks can be turned out. Toyota released a substantial amount of information about their production procedures and figures. They estimate that a well-appointed car, truck, or SUV takes 17 to 18 hours to assemble. That's on the floor, right?
And that is a manufacturing line that has been perfected down to
Yes.
like the fucking millisecond.
Yes. Other manufacturers have similar numbers. Some lesser appointed vehicles can be assembled as quickly as 11 hours. That said something about the Model T earlier.
Tomahawks take a couple of months to make. Ooh.
Yeah, well, and that's you're saying Rolls Royce takes a few months to make too, and
Yeah.
I know that like McLarens are built by hand, so those take a long time to.
Nice.
But that's also. McLarens also fucking break all of the time because they're made by hand. Yeah, because they're not made by a machine. They're not
Yeah.
assembled by a machine. So even though shit is all torqued to spec and all the whatever, it's still made by a person. So
Yeah.
there's still way more flaw.
If I'm
that's
buying a
involved
car,
in it.
dude, I don't want a handcrafted vehicle, to be honest. I want one made with precision laser etched machinery, to be
Yeah.
perfectly honest.
Let's put it this way. He and his staff came up with systems that reduced the overall assembly time on a Model T from 12 and a half hours to 93 minutes. Holy fuck. They were pumping out Model Ts in 93 minutes. That's fucking pretty impressive.
Woo!
I mean, truck was a lot easier to make at that point, but still.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Very
that's
few
a car.
parts. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Alex says, absolutely agree, Donovan. Well said. A backlog of weapons, and we just released the most prominent arms dealer of the 21st century. Coincidence? Absolutely not, if you ask me. That whole deal, man, that's a whole other thing. Because, yesterday in the beer show, while you're looking that up, I will pontificate for a little bit. You asked the question about the validity of this trade deal between Brittany Griner and Boot. Victor, I think was his name. I can't remember off the top of my head. Victor Boot, a.k.a. Nicolas Cage.
I was just going to call him Nick Cage.
Yeah, I just call him Nick Cage at that point. That's why I put him in the thumbnail yesterday. But, I mean, there's a very good argument to be had of why Russia really, 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 really wanted him, given the vast amount of sanctions on Russia and on Iran. Why not get back in business with the sanction buster himself, a.k.a. the Merchant of Death, a.k.a. Victor Boot? He is going to be instrumental in getting more weapons to Russia if they want more weapons from Russia. It is not... The possibility of that is not zero.
So he's been hemmed up for like a decade.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Do you think that the world of black market gun sales is the exact same now that it was 12 years ago when he got hemmed up? I would imagine the power has changed around quite a bit, and his connections probably don't exist in the way that they once did.
No, but I guarantee you that if you want to have simple, off-the-books weapons deals on a state level, and you can't do them yourselves or through your former legitimate channels, you could easily set that up, or at least get advice from a guy who made a living doing that for decades. I'm sure he would be a valuable asset in allowing people to get more weaponry that they didn't once have at that point.
And I don't know that much about this dude. He wasn't working, to my knowledge, he wasn't working like for Russia, right?
No.
He was doing his own shit. He
Yes.
was black market, because he was selling shit to like Africa and whatnot. He
All
just
sorts of places,
Just was selling a lot of Russian arms because they're pumping out AKs like
Former
no one's
Soviet
business.
stuff, but ultimately, I mean, he was able to get a hold of like anti-aircraft missiles, and like he went from, I think it's just a colloquial tale at this point, but like essentially he went from selling a machete all the way up to, over the years getting up to selling like missiles and rockets and shit, not just AKs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't think it's not the possibility exists that he would be a incredible asset to the Russian government if they so chose to tap his resources, to tap his expertise, even to utilize him again, even if it's just, I need to start running guns and I can't have this above the book. So, if they set up the things for him to go do trade deals in Iran and stuff like that, if they want somebody off the books to get them what they need, he'd be a good guy to do it.
Yeah.
The possibility is certainly not zero. And the way Russian propaganda TV is spouting him right now and talking that he's a national hero and all this, I would really doubt that he's just off the board.
Yo, shout out Boot, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I almost watched that movie last night because I fucking love that movie.
And like, he's fucking killed more people than... Bro, no.
So did Iron Man. So did Iron Man.
The same way that Remington has never fucking killed anybody, right? This guy has not killed... I don't know if he's ever personally taken anybody's life, but outside of the people that he's actually killed with his own hands, he's not fucking killed anybody. Whoever bought those guns and handed them to other people, that person still hasn't taken anybody else's life, that number of people's lives, but have a closer argument... You have a closer argument to make for those African leaders than you do for this guy. He's a fucking... Call it what you want. This guy's a salesman. He sells shit. He sells fucking guns to people and weapons and equipment. He has no control over what other people do with them. Mm-hmm. Should he maybe have had more discretion over who he sold shit to? I don't know. That's not my place to say. He's a fucking individual. I hate this. It's the same narrative of the gun companies. That's what we're doing here, of allowing people to sue gun manufacturers because they're, the way they're marketing things or the tools that they're making or the whatever. I don't give a fuck what this guy did. The same way I don't care what Donald Trump does with his taxes. I don't care what this guy fucking sold to what African warlords. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I just don't care. All these people, what a horrible guy he is. All this fucking blood that he has on his hands. I don't care. Let's talk about fucking Coney if we want to talk about blood that we have on people's hands. There are people who are literally getting children to murder other adults and other children. I don't care. Like, I don't want to talk about where they got their guns from. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me. And what matters more is that there are children murdering other human beings in African nations because we don't give a fuck about that. We would rather talk about this Russian guy who sells guns to them. I don't care.
It sounds like you're making a really based argument about liberty not just being an American thing.
No, they're going to hack each other up if that's what they're going to do. You're not going this weapons dealer isn't going to stop the civil wars in Africa because he isn't selling guns there. Did they stop when he fucking got hemmed up? No, I'm pretty sure all this shit still happened. I'm pretty certain. Don't know for sure. Pretty certain, just like when I fly somewhere that I'm in a different country and then we're not just in another part of America, pretty certain that those things still happen even when he wasn't selling guns there. So it's such a ridiculous argument that he's so pivotal and such a horrible person when nothing fucking changed when he was done. What, do they have to wait 10 minutes to find a different fucking dealer? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And this, it takes away from the ability... Not even the ability, because I'm doing it right now, but it takes away from the public appeal of a liberty-based argument, because it doesn't. For what reason should he not be able to sell guns to the people who can get his hands on them? Why? Because you don't like it? Because you didn't think of it first? That's a dumbass reason. That's not a good reason. Because you don't like what other people are going to do with it. Doesn't matter. I don't like what you do with it. Doesn't matter. I can't think of a very good, succinct example, but it doesn't.
Based Victor Boot.
yeah, fuck it. I don't, base boot. I don't care, dude.
Alex, I just want to thank you for this incredible side road that we took. That was fantastic. I haven't heard that was a good rant, my friend. That was fantastic. I don't know if I want to put that on YouTube as a separate clip because that's like,
they'll pull our whole channel
what's
down.
up, buddy?
They'll pull our whole channel down.
Probably safe in the live stream with 6 viewers, but that's, we'll take it. Okay.
I can't find how long it takes to build a Patriot missile.
I would be surprised if you could Google it. You know what I mean?
Don't want me to know
exactly.
that, you know?
I would imagine nobody wants you to know
how much
that.
a Patriot missile system
I bet
costs,
you
but
through your contacts, you could get a generalized idea.
the Patriot system replaced the Nike Hercules system as the U.S. Army's primary high to medium air defense system and replaced the M1M23 Hawk system, between $1 to $6 million per missile for the system.
I'm more a fan of the Hellfire.
Yeah.
I like the Hellfire missiles.
How long is a Patriot missile?
I don't know. Let's find out. What does the internet say?
5.31 meters.
5.31 meters.
That's a long ass missile, bitch. Holy
Dude.
shit.
Wonder how big that Shredder missile was that took out that dude on his stoop in Afghanistan. That was a whole deal. Well, fun stuff. Ready to talk about Twitter again? Or are you not off this wagon yet?
Yeah.
You're into it, man.
Yeah, no, I'm ready.
I like where this went.
It
You're
takes
gonna
like
find
30
out?
minutes to get it ready, it says, but that's all that I can, like, to get it ready to fire. It takes 30 minutes to prepare the system for firing.
Interesting.
A battery of launchers and associated support vehicles can change position up to several times a day. You also fire them remotely or, like, mobily. That's wild. You drive a truck somewhere and you park it. I don't
go,
know. It's
click,
just,
boom.
it's just weird. You got a fucking missile that's 5 meters long. Yeah, shove it in a tube, drive it to a field, and we'll launch it off, and it'll all be okay. It's just a weird. I don't know.
I wonder if they drive it like an RC car. You know what I mean? You have drones flying around all over the place. Why can't you have like a drone Tomahawk missile or Patriot missile launcher?
All the ones I'm seeing are just on fucking huge trailers. Like, it doesn't seem like they even have an independent vehicle for it yet. That they still just put the launching system on a trailer and they drive that somewhere.
Interesting.
Yeah, none of these are.
Wonder what they use, Bluetooth or Wi-Fi?
They use
Probably a radio signal of
Amazon
some
Web
kind.
Services, duh.
AWS, baby.
Yeah.
Most
They just,
secure.
what's like Amazon and Microsoft just got like a $9 billion contract through the Fed. Is that what it is?
I don't know about this.
Yep.
I'm
They
not surprised.
They
but
just split the cloud computing contract for the federal government, like $9 billion. Amazon and Microsoft.
And you wonder why inflation's so high.
Yeah, we out here.
$9 billion. All right. Let's lighten up here a little bit. Get back to
The
fake-
Patriot missile. I'm just kidding.
Again, shout out Alex, bro. I needed that in my life. We were too social media focused here for a minute. We had to bring in the good old military industrial complex and Merchants of Death and Patriot missile systems. I'm really glad we did that. But also talk to Homie and see if he just is maybe some generalized info. I'd be really interested. Okay, so we're just going to go through this one. This was the second Twitter drop. This is all about shadow banning. And if we all remember, shadow banning doesn't exist. Twitter doesn't shadow ban people.
Right.
Except for the fact they absolutely did. And now we have the fucking receipts. That's really what this whole thing is, right? You're not getting all the info. But what you're ostensibly getting are receipts. To the fact that these things did happen. You may not have access to every situation or whatever, but what these Twitter drops are coming with are receipts that it is indeed happening. So, Barry Weiss says, thread, Twitter Files Part 2, Twitter's secret blacklists. A new Twitter Files investigation reveals that teams of Twitter employees built blacklists prevent disfavored tweets from trending and actively limiting. I gotta zoom this in a little bit. It's too far to read like this. Sorry. My old man eyes. And actively limit the visibility of entire accounts or even trending topics, all in secret without informing users. Twitter once had a mission, quote, to give everyone the power to create and share ideas and information instantly without barriers. Along the way, barriers nevertheless were erected. I like that word, erected. Get your mind out of the gutter, you sicko. Like an erector set. That used to be a thing for boomers when they were kids. Take, for example, Stanford's Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, who agreed that COVID lockdowns would harm children. Twitter secretly placed him on a trends blacklist, which prevented his tweets from trending. Do you remember Dr. Jay Bhattacharya? Early COVID period.
Okay.
He was outspoken about how school lockdowns were going to hurt children, and then all of a sudden, bye-bye. Misinformation.
Right. Something that we now know to be true, that corporate media is saying, oh, God, isn't it terrible that this is happening?
Mm-hmm. And you'll see here, this is a kind of backdoor look at his Twitter, right? They're saying he's an active user, and he has notifications on his account. It's a recent abuse strike. So at some point, he had a recent abuse strike on his channel, and he is trends blacklist. He has 0 current strikes on his channel, but he is obviously right there. He's obviously on a trends blacklist, and he has recent abuse strikes. So these are what
Tags
Twitter
they're
is
putting on people's accounts.
Yes, that obviously are being algorithmically controlled. Or consider the popular right-wing talk show host Dan Bongino, who she conveniently tags on Twitter now that he's back on, by the way. Who
he had been kicked off Twitter?
Oh yeah. He at one point was slapped with the search blacklist.
He used to be tweeting every day. Today, the date, and and Donald Trump is the best president that America's ever had. And then as soon as Joe Biden got in office, this is the date, and Joe Biden is the worst president America. Like without missing a fucking beat, he was doing it.
I follow a couple of accounts that do that.
Hilarious.
Every day, somebody will say, "Today is so and so," and Joe Biden is still the worst president ever. I have one guy who does it for Inslee. Today is so-and-so, and Governor Inslee is the worst governor in the United States. So you can see here on Dan Bongino's account, he's a verified user, he's active, notification spike.
What does that mean?
That means you don't get notifications.
Means you don't get notifications for him?
Yeah, so if you follow him and you have your notifications on, you're not getting a notification.
And isn't it funny? All these people are like, I don't know why people aren't getting the notifications, because that happens on YouTube and all that type of shit all the time.
Which is why I say it's very important to remember.
Right.
If it's happening here, it's happening here.
Which is why we want to remind you to like, subscribe, comment, and share all of these things with everyone you know. This right here
helps break the algorithm.
We've talked about shadow banning before, and this is why this is so important, because they are doing this.
Yes. And he also has a search blacklist. So even here, you can't find him in search unless you specifically type out the exact name.
Bongino or D. Bongino.
Yep. Twitter verified, multiple accounts.
Which
says he has multiple accounts.
Which I've heard different arguments about this, whether they're claiming that he is operating multiple accounts or there are multiple accounts associated with him that he could tweet from.
Yes, and that's an indicator to say, hey, this guy is not just this guy, he also has other things. Like if we
and they probably link the Bongino Show Twitter account and anybody else.
When we start our Salt of the Streets Twitter account,
You and I will have multiple accounts.
We will have multiple accounts if that's the path we go down.
Right.
But yeah, so that's like a whole thing there, and that's just a reason. So like if they ban this one, they're gonna have to go ahead and ban the other ones. Think Crowder at that point.
Right.
Crowder bits, Crowder clips, those things.
And not safe for work view means he says bad shit and like swears and stuff like that, right?
You can assign whatever context you want to it, but as far as how the algorithm keeps your account down, it will not be shared as much, it will not be promoted as much because it's considered not safe for work.
Do you know what SPMA stands for?
I don't.
Okay.
There's a lot of Twitter speak behind the door here that
Right.
only some of it's coming out, and they'll sometimes explain it as they go along. Sometimes they don't. Twitter set the account of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who I despise, to do not amplify. Recent abuse strike,
Pretty funny.
notification spike, do not amplify. Again, multiple accounts, not safe for work, and apparently 2 others.
And notification spike.
And notification spike, yeah. Twitter denied that it does these things. In 2018, Twitter's Vijigade, the head of legal policy and trust, and Kayvon Bikpour,
Whoa.
yeah, Bikpour, head of product, said, "We do not shadow ban." They added, "And we certainly do not shadow ban based on political viewpoints or ideology." Well, receipts and shit.
Eesh.
What are you talking about? This is all just objective, bro. This is just
Yeah.
totally objective. Of course not. What many people call shadow banning, Twitter executives and employees call visibility filtering, or VF.
You guys are assholes.
That's what they call it. They call it visibility filtering.
So
Multiply
because
high-level
because
sources.
they call it something different.
Yes,
They're like, we
it's-
don't shadow ban people. We
It's
would
kind of
never do
like
anything like
how Fauci says we don't do gain of function.
Yeah.
We just define it differently. Multiple high-level sources confirmed its meaning. Think about visibility filtering as being a way for us to suppress what people see to different levels. It's a very powerful tool, one senior Twitter employee told us. VF refers to Twitter's control over user visibility. It used VF to block searches of individual users, to limit the scope of particular tweets' discoverability, to block select users' posts from even appearing on the trendings page, and from inclusion in hashtag searches, all without users' knowledge. We control visibility quite a bit, and we control the amplification of our content quite a bit, of your content quite a bit, and normal people do not know how much we do. One Twitter engineer told us, 2 additional Twitter employees confirmed. The group then decided whether to limit the search of certain users was the Strategic Response Team, Global Escalation Team, or, SRT GET. It often handled up to 200 cases a day. Excuse me. Problem with drinking beer when you need to talk. Sometimes it just happens. But there existed a level beyond the official ticketing, beyond the rank and file moderators following the company's policy on paper. This is the, quote, Site Integrity Policy Escalation Support, the SIPPES, which just, what's up, tech bros? Come on.
Just acronyms, yeah.
Yeah. This secret group included head of legal policy and trust, Vijigadi, the global head of trust and safety, Yoel Roth, and subsequent CEO Jack Dorsey and Parag Agrawal, and others. This is where the biggest, most politically sensitive discussions got made. These guys make a huge appearance in the next drop too, by the way. Think high follower count, controversial. Another Twitter employee told us for these, quote, there would be no ticket or anything.
And a ticket is just like a digital tag that follows accounts so that people that work there can
We'll just
look it
directly
up.
manipulate the account as needed with over 200 cases a day. How'd you like to be on that fucking Slack channel just constantly blowing up? Especially, hey, there's a reason why Trump started a tweet at 3 o'clock on the Golden Throne, man, to get these motherfuckers awake on the East Coast. It's midnight. They got to wake up, or they're still up drinking from the night before, ruining your day.
He's fucking with that algorithm.
Yes.
He's fucking with that algorithm.
He's like, come at me, bro. If you want to come at me, you're going to have to not sleep tonight, bitch. One of the accounts that rose to this level of scrutiny was Libs of TikTok, an account that was on the Trends blacklist and was designated as do not take action on user without consent of the SIPPES. So that's that high-ranking group. right? And so we look at Libs of TikTok, high profile, active, notifications spike, trends blacklist, recent abuse strikes, Twitter blue verified, multiple accounts, 2 strikes, high profile, NSFW, and 2 others. And then a note on top, do not take action on user without consulting with the higher up authority. That's a lot, bro. Libs of TikTok, heavily gunned after. Wild when you see this, right? The account with Shauna Rychik began in November 2020 and now boasts over 1.4 million followers, was subjected to 6 suspensions in 2022 alone. Rychik says each time Rychik was blocked from posting for as long as a week. Twitter repeatedly informed Rychik that she had been suspended for violating Twitter's policy against hateful conduct, but in an internal SIPPES memo from October 2022, after her 7th suspension, the committee acknowledges that quote, LTT has not directly engaged in behavior, so Libs of TikTok, behavior violating the hateful conduct policy, see here. So site recommendations. I mean, this is all them talking about this, man. And type of enforcement action, repeat 7 days timeout, will not lead to a permanent suspension. So this is just a thing from their policy
the
there.
third assessment at the bottom.
Oh, assessment.
Since its most recent timeout, while LTT has not directly engaged in behavior violative of the hateful conduct policy, the user has continued targeting individuals, allies, supporters of the LGBTQIA community for alleged misconduct. The targeting of at least one of these institutions. So we're going to suspend you for something, even though we're saying you haven't done it because we don't like what you've done, but we don't have a rule that says you can't do that.
Check. You saw that kind of thinking and rationalizing in the first Twitter drop when they were debating how to justify the taking down of the Hunter Biden story. Very, very. This is standard practice in legacy Twitter. What we're calling legacy Twitter
Straight
now.
up ideological.
Yes, within a small group of people, all in the C-suite essentially.
Because it's only because you can't take action on the account without the say of that council, which has fucking like 10 people on it.
And they're all in the C-suite essentially. They're all executives. They're all in the upper echelon of the leadership. The committee justified her suspension internally by claiming her posts encouraged online harassment.
And I don't want to interrupt you, but that council also has people on it who used to work for the fucking federal government.
Check.
But the federal government has no influence at all.
Not even a little bit.
Over what's being done on these people, right? It is, I'm telling you now, confirming for everybody listening, it is ignorant to assume that the people who used to work for the federal government that are actively on that council are not being spoken to and influenced by people still working in the federal government. That is ignorant for you to assume. And I'm not coming down on you for that. I'm telling you. I am instructing you. That is ignorant. Do not think that. You have no good reason to assume that. You have no good reason to assume the federal government is not trying to censor your free speech, especially if it can do it through a backdoor in a private company without doing it themselves. I'm telling you, it is ignorant to assume that. Do not think that.
What you do have is a mountain of evidence to the contrary, and you would be ignorant to ignore that. So anyways, they justified, the committee justified her suspension intentionally by claiming her posts encourage online harassment of, quote, hospitals and medical providers by insisting that gender-affirming health care is equivalent to child abuse or grooming.
The curated and lightly editorialized posts of this account are targeting individuals even though they're curated from other people's fucking accounts, right? Libs of TikTok, if we all remember, is not taking videos of people and post them on the internet, right? Taking videos themselves. They're curating videos from other accounts that people are putting on the internet them fucking selves.
Yeah.
That if you knew it was there, you could find it yourself.
It's right
if
there.
someone just told you, didn't even send you a link, just said, hey, look up this account, you could go and find it yourself.
Oh, yeah. Just go to TikTok, because all these things are mostly reposts. They're all reposts from TikTok, Libs of TikTok.
It's a curated account.
It's just the algorithm. And at this point, her TikTok account over there is just nothing but that because of what she's looking at and what she's getting. So she's just getting all of that. That's all she's getting in her algorithm is on TikTok. TikTok is good at one thing, and that is getting in front of you the content that you continue to watch. And if she continues to watch these things and then turn around and repost them on Twitter, that's all she's going to have in her feed at that point. So she, at this point, is literally just opening up her TikTok and finding a right one, reposting it on Twitter, maybe adding a little fucking thing, and that's it.
It's akin to when we were during COVID and they're having press briefings every single day, and we were dropping like 10 clips per episode of all these different press briefings. I mean, it would be akin to the federal government being like, you guys are targeting government officials because of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like that's literally a very similar
concept.
Comparison.
Yep. Same exact concept.
Because we didn't editorialize. Wait, I took clips from my phone, sent them to you, and we played them on here. There was I would put the name of the clip that was this person regarding whatever the question was.
Yep.
Like that's which is akin to what there is slightly more editorialization from libs of TikTok because they're obviously like, look at this fucking piece of shit. But they're not saying that. They're saying this is a teacher from so and so school that thinks it's appropriate to do this, right?
Now, compare this to what happened with Rycheck herself when Rycheck herself was doxxed on November 11th.
By Taylor Lorenz, which we covered on this show because Taylor Lorenz is a piece of human trash.
Yes. And I haven't looked it up directly, but apparently that post is still up, by the way.
Well, I fucking don't doubt it.
Of course. So a photo of her
Fuck
home
Taylor
with
Lorenz,
her
fuck the
address.
Washington Post.
Amen. Fuck Jeff Bezos while we're at it. Except for, I like Amazon. It's very convenient. I'm a shill for that. A photo of... There are needy children in this world who have benefited from my Amazon Prime account, okay? Period. We're doing a net good for the community, goddammit. So anyways, yes, the post of her home and her address was posted in a tweet that has garnered more than 10,000 likes. When Rycheck told Twitter that her address had been disseminated, she said Twitter support responded with the message, "We reviewed the reported content and didn't find it to be in violation of Twitter rules. No action was taken." The doxing tweet is still up.
Even though Twitter has a rule against doxing.
Boom. There it is right there. There it is right there. That's your standard cookie cutter response for, yeah, we don't care. Leave it alone. An internal Slack message, Twitter employees spoke of using technicalities to restrict the visibility of tweets and subjects. Here, Yoel Roth, Twitter's then global head of trust and safety, in a direct message to a colleague in early 2021. This guy, he is a superstar in the Twitter file drops, man. He is all over the place, along with Vigigati.
When he's out here defending shit now, like he's going hard on like, no. We're down. We're doing the Lord's work is what we're doing.
Yes. You're not ideological at all. A lot of times, SI, so that's going to be, it's an abbreviation for one of the departments, safety and integrity, or who knows. It's one of those, has used technicality spam enforcements as a way to solve a problem created by safety under enforcing their policies, which again isn't a problem per se, but it keeps us from addressing the root cause of the issue, which is that our safety policies need some attention. So he is justifying finding other ways to take people down on technicalities because he thinks, it's not necessarily a bad thing that we have to do this because, like, our policies need some work.
It's not against the rules now, but it should be, so let's find a way to make it against the rules.
I just don't like this guy. We'll take him down. 6 days later, in a direct message with an employee on the health misinformation, policy, and identity research team.
AKA the anti-COVID team.
The health misinformation, privacy, and identity research team. That's a whole lot of things in one team.
Yeah.
Roth requested more research to support expanding, quote, non-removal policy interventions like disabling engagements and de-amplifying / visibility filtering. One of the biggest areas I'd love research support on is regarding non-removal policy interventions like disabling engagements and de-amplification / visibility filtering, aka shadow banning.
Disabling engagements, like making it so people aren't allowed to engage with this account.
Yeah, that's the old can't like, can't retweet, but you can look at it type of thing.
Which
You've
I
seen
have
those.
experienced before.
Yes.
Like now with my own tweets, with other people's tweets, like why?
yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm clicking like on this, and the heart just goes away.
Yep, can't do it.
What
that was
the
before
fuck?
they just grayed out the entire bottom bar, which is all conversations they would have had at the time. The hypothesis underlying much of what we've implemented is that if exposure to, an example, misinformation directly causes harm, we
Exposure to. If exposure to it directly causes harm. If fucking seeing a tweet directly causes you harm because you're a fucking pussy, get the fuck out of here. We're gonna craft policy because people can't look at fucking words on their phone without thinking they're gonna kill themselves. Get the fuck out of here. Turn your phone off, bitch. Get the fuck out.
hit the mute button.
You have got to be joking me.
We should use remediations that reduce exposure and limiting the spread virality of content is a good way to do that by just reducing prevalence overall. We got Jack on board with implementing this for civic integrity.
Get the fuck out. We got Jack on board.
With this for civic integrity in the near term, but we're going to need to make a more robust cause to get this into our repertoire for policy recommendations, especially for other policy domains. So I'd love researchers' point of view on that.
Which this just double underlines that Jack is a piece of shit because he's telling them
So yeah,
it's fine for now, but you guys are gonna have to come up with something better. He's even I don't really fuck with this, but I'll do it. I'll do it. I know that's fine.
Bro, I'm over in India. I'm at a fucking
Little
Tibetan
bitch.
monastery. I'm trying to meditate here. Just do what you need to do. All right? It'll work for now.
Those people are all pussies.
It's like a whole deal. Don's rage is real today. Hey man, I really appreciate getting you off mic a little bit before you started to scream. That didn't blow my eardrums out. That was healthy.
Someone needs to tell that guy he's a pussy.
Roth wrote we already read what he wrote. He added, we just got Jack on board. Yeah, we already read that, Barry. Thank you very much. This is the problem with this,
Right, because you just
thread
posted
business.
a screenshot and then tweeted twice quotes from what
Yes.
you just said in the screenshot.
Yeah. There's more to come on this history, which was reported by Abigail Schreier. There's Michael Schellenberger. It's Schellenberger. It's Michael Schellenberger right
burger.
there. That's him. Nellie Bowles and Isaac Grafenstein and the team of Free Press, which was that's her Substack. The authors have board and expanding access to Twitter's files. The only condition we agreed to was that the material would first be published on Twitter. We just
Oh,
started.
that's okay. That's
Yeah.
why.
So you have to first publish it on Twitter. Now go to town building your other stuff. I guess
okay.
that's which again I get.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but I get it because now all of a sudden my Substack enrollment is going to have to just get expanded. Alex Berenstein Bears. He's going to have to take a seat on the back burner. He's going to have to be benched because I got to bring in Barry Weiss and Matt Taibbi now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I exchanged Barry Weiss's Substack for Alex Berenstein Bears at the time, and then now I'm going to have to bring in Matt Taibbi. But anyways, yeah. She just closes out there. It's a big thanks to everyone involved. Watch Matt Taibbi for the next installment. Which, why don't you pontificate for a minute on your overall thoughts on Barry Weiss's drop? Because I got to pee, and this next one is very, very long.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Process what you need to process. It's a lot to process. Do you want me to grab you a beer in the meantime?
Yeah, that would be great. That would be.
Oktoberfest or Space Dust?
Let's go with an Oktoberfest. We've experienced some of this before. We've talked about it. We've experienced some shadow banning before, and it's very frustrating because as I'm looking back on some of the experiences that I have had with Twitter, right? We call it the engagement disabilization. All the times that I have been unable to like or retweet something, I have just chalked it up to, it's just the Twitter app is just being fucky. It's just being fucky right now. It happens all the time. It's an app. Thousands of people are on it. Millions of people are on it. It's just Twitter app is just being not good. And now there's certainly a possibility of that. But now we're also seeing that we're seeing proof of the fact that they were doing that themselves. They were actively making it so that you couldn't engage with people. We have fallen victim before to the issues with the algorithm here, so it just grows the frustration to see that while we were not specifically targeted, we fall into an umbrella of people that are being directly targeted because of this, and
I guarantee you our YouTube channel is targeted in the same exact way.
there just isn't a way around that without the involvement of other people, but the site has been constructed in such a way that that is near impossible.
It's tough without a lot of people all at once, which is why everyone should like, subscribe, share this right now. Just do it all. If you're not hitting the like button, you're watching this video right now, you're doing something wrong. So do it. It takes a half a second.
And I don't at all want it to sound like I'm saying if it weren't for a shadow ban, we would be millionaires, right? That's not
No.
the claim that I'm making. The claim that I'm making is that we would have more than, we would have a larger audience than we do now had we not been caught in this cycle that we are in on all these different social media platforms. It's the ban for us on Facebook got so bad we couldn't pay them for ads. We couldn't give them money to show our content to people because we had received enough of these clarification, I assume these clarification censorship things on Facebook, that they just wouldn't even take money from us because we couldn't get a clear answer as to why they would do it. Akin to, it doesn't align with what we're talking about, so fuck it, right? I mean, akin to that of, well, you have to go here even though this page doesn't exist, and there it will tell you what the issue is. And then when you actually find out what they're talking about, even though they've misdirected you, and you ask again, so this is the issue, they just don't respond at all. They just refuse to answer when you actually find the information that they're trying to mislead you from.
That's just because, Facebook's a way bigger company than Twitter, so there's not like a single small group of people to make decisions, at that point. It's just,
But the left says
we just won't talk about
The
it.
left says just because our content just isn't that good. That's what the left says. It's not because you're being targeted. It's because your content just isn't that good.
That's
That's
fine.
what they say. It's just not that good.
Yeah, they're a bunch of
No.
shills. Oh, by the way,
certainly.
you have a glass
Certainly.
over here.
That's why. Yep. That's why the people who watch the show love this show so much, because only 10 people like the show.
Yes.
That's the.
Yeah, you're a true fan when you're one of like 4 or 6 that come around every 2 weeks. That's how
Because
you know.
they let you know about this show.
Yes. Okay. Now we are going to go a ways. We don't need to go through the whole fucking thing because this is a 60-some post thread. This was a big one. This was all about the banning of Donald Trump on Twitter. And it goes from October 2020 to January 6th, which is a lot. So this is the period leading up to election, post-election, and Jan 6. And we're going to go for a little while, and then, because there's some other Twitter-related things I want to get to, obviously. And this is going to be an ongoing thing. I have a feeling that on the beer shows for the next number of weeks, I'm just going to be doing an independent segment. Maybe we'll just make the show longer and be doing an independent segment on the rest of the Twitter updates, because these things are not going to be stopping. There's supposed to be one today. There's supposed to be another one tomorrow. So, but we're going to be doing our best to report on those as we go through. So that being said, let's tackle number 3 from the glorious Matt Taibbi, which is another point of contention with a lot of these different shows. I have heard Matt Taibbi's name mispronounced every possible way you can mispronounce
Why would it
it.
be so hard?
I don't know. I mean, Joe Rogan's got the most popular podcast in the world, and Matt Taibbi was on there relatively recently. Just go there, and you could hear it pronounced.
I heard
It's not hard.
Gerald call him Matt Talby.
Matt Talby, Matt
Yeah.
Tibby,
Yeah.
Matt
okay,
Tibby.
Look, Taibbi.
It's Taibbi right there. Taibbi. I can understand maybe like a Taibbi.
Or Taby.
Taibbi,
Like but
Talby?
Talby, there's no L in his name. Fucking
You are
anywhere.
underestimating
Idiots.
how much of an idiot Gerald is. The dude is dense, bro. Gerald Knows Stuff is like a kindergarten segment for a reason. It's because he is a kindergartner in his head. The dude's not smart, bro, and you know it. All right, so let's get through some of these. Obviously, in the beginning, it's all editorializing because that's what these things have become. These are journalists writing articles in fucking thread form. So the world, oh yeah, so I already told you the title. The world knows much of the story of what happened between riots at the Capitol on January 6th and the removal of President Donald Trump on January 8th. We'll show you what hasn't been revealed, the erosion of standards within the company in months before J6, decisions by high-ranking executives to violate their own policies, and more, against the backdrop of ongoing documented interaction with federal agencies. This is why this one is so important. This one has the receipts to the collusion between the government agencies, multiple agencies, and how Twitter how it ran its company, how it created policies. This is
Congress is like, we need to regulate social media. Okay, but the intelligence agencies have their fucking dicks inside of these companies so deep that they're controlling them.
They're essentially already doing that without doing it through Congress. They're not doing it legally. They're just doing it by showing up and having discussions and making suggestions and keeping them informed about what's going on. And yeah, you should probably watch this and this. We will get into that. But there's an analogy out there for what's happening here, right? It's when you look at like the big tech hearings, the congressional hearings and stuff, we're not going to regulate you to do this thing. But we're going to tell you right now, while I'm up here on this stand, to tell you, like, it would really be good if you were doing this, if you were looking at this, if you would run your company like this. We're not going to regulate you, but we're going to do it. We're going to do everything but regulate you and essentially tell you exactly what we want you to do, so then you'll do it. Because otherwise, we might get into some hairy territory with constitutionality and legality and things like this. But we're still going to basically tell you how to run your company. And if you don't do that, then we're going to come down on you.
Yeah.
This is the same exact thing that's going on here, except this is all through the executive branch. Outside the people's house, outside any oversight from Congress, out of anything. This is all just happening with FBI, DHS, and I think NSA, or they go into it. So we'll carry on. The first installment covered the period between the election through January 6th. Tomorrow, Schellenberger. So that's why I got to be following Schellenberger, because today he's dropping his thing. We'll detail the chaos inside Twitter on January 7th. On Sunday, Barry Weiss will be revealing the secret internal communications from the key date of January 8th, the day I believe he was actually suspended. Let's see here. So yeah, we got today and Sunday. It's going to be a heavy rest of the weekend. Whatever your opinion on the decision to remove Trump that day, the internal conversations at Twitter between January 6th, January 8th have clear historic impact. Even Twitter's employee understood the moment in this landmark moment in the annals of speech. And then he shows a Slack chat here from an unnamed and guarded employee. It says, "Is this the first sitting head of state to ever be suspended?" I think it's interesting that say head of state and not president, but I guess not, because there's lots of heads of state from various nations on Twitter that aren't presidents.
That are worse than Donald Trump. So that's probably why
the Ayatollah is still, he's not a president.
No.
As soon as they finished banning Trump, Twitter execs started processing new power. They prepared to ban future presidents and White Houses, perhaps even Joe Biden. The quote, new administration, says one exec, will not be suspended by Twitter unless absolutely necessary. Shown here in a Slack chat. As stated in our show the tweet, if it is clear that another account is being used for the purpose of evading a ban, it is also subject to suspension. For government accounts such as @POTUS and @White House, we will not suspend those accounts, but will take action to limit their use. However, these accounts will be transitioned over to a new administration in due course and will not be suspended by Twitter unless absolutely necessary to alleviate real-world harm. So right there, they're talking about limiting. They're talking about shadow banning the POTUS and White House accounts potentially, if they need to. But once the new administration comes in, they will not do that unless absolutely necessary to prevent real-world harm. Those are the official accounts, POTUS and White House. This isn't @real Donald Trump. This is POTUS and White House they're talking about. So now they're talking about shadow banning and suppressing official White House accounts, that's a step.
Because of who they're connected with.
Yes.
And that's the only
Yes, that's the only way. That's the only reasoning behind this.
That's the only connection between those things, because the because the president account and the White House account during Donald Trump never tweeted anything more egregious than what they're doing right now under Joe Biden. You know,
No.
a lot of Trump dick sucking, but that's exactly what they do now under the Joe Biden administration.
Oh, yeah.
Is just Joe Biden dick suck.
Yeah,
So-
and there was that ruling that came out at some point about how presidential social media accounts, official presidential social media accounts, need to be archived and saved for history and all this stuff. And there was and that's when Donald Trump became super, super active on his personal account over his POTUS account. And then the only stuff you saw coming from POTUS was like official press releases and things like that, because that's how that worked. But okay, so Twitter executive removed Trump in part over what one executive called, quote, context surrounding actions by Trump and supporters over the course of the election, and frankly, last 4+ years. In the end, they looked at a broad picture, but the approach can cut both ways. So just like you said, I'm not going to read this because he just sums it up right here. That's the important part. Context surrounding. That's what you were talking about. Who's the account holder and what the fuck are they doing outside of Twitter?
Right.
Because that'll make it more dangerous. So we gotta take care of that. And obviously, over the course of the election and frankly the last 4 years, that's rather eye-opening when they look at. They're like, well, yeah, this guy's just been a huge piece of shit. We got to really get after him for what's happened in the last 4 years.
And this is underlining. This is just my initial feel from what we're reading, right?
We're only on number 8, baby.
This is what this is underlining. We knew, right? It's further underlining the fuckery of it all.
Yes.
Right? But what this is highlighting in particular is the partisan basis on which it was done. That it's not just that we were doing this, because in the first one, the Hunter Biden stuff, they had some stuff from the Trump administration and the Trump team. They're like, listen, these guys are also pulling stuff from the portal. Like, these guys are doing bad shit. Everyone kind of on both aisles, because during the first drop, it seemed like there is shadiness on both sides, but it just happens to be there are more left-leaning people who work at Twitter, so there happens to be more left-leaning connections, so there happens to be more left-leaning shit. If it were the other way around, it would be the other way around because of the structure of the company.
Yeah.
But this is the ideological makeup.
Yeah, and by more,
Now-
you're talking like 98+%.
Right. Now it's showing you not only was this happening, but the ideological bend is so severe that they're being open about the way that they're doing
yeah.
it, and open about the effect that it could potentially have, and the way they're going to change it when when Trump is no longer in office.
We haven't even got to the government collusion ass side yet. This is just how Twitter ran.
This hurts my body.
I knew it would. The bulk of the internal debate leading to Trump's ban took place in those 3 January days. However, the intellectual framework was laid in the months preceding the Capitol riots. Before Jan 6, Twitter was a unique mix of automated rules-based enforcement and more subjective moderation by senior executives, as Barry Weiss reported, the stuff we just talked about, that one PIS, PPP, whatever group. Where the firm had a vast array of tools for manipulating visibility, most of all which were thrown at Trump and others. And that's the that tab we were looking at, the and others, and there was like 1, 2, 5, whatever. Those are all those other tools for manipulating how that account moved throughout the algorithms pre-Jan 6. As the election approached, senior executive, perhaps under pressure from federal agencies with whom they met more as time progressed, increasingly struggled with rules to begin to speak of Vios as pretext to do what they likely had done anyway.
The ingenuity of this all is super disturbing, because I highlight and underline. It's like the only words that I can think of, but it just shows you further and further. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and they have to keep finding other ways to do it, to find a way around directly banning people for ideological purposes. They just have to come up with different tools to do it, because it's not as effective as they want it to be, because it's not just an outright ban, because they can't do that.
They need to find more and more creative ways to hide it better and better and better. Because that way, when Jack Dorsey's going up in the hill and saying we do not shadow ban people, he can be
under oath.
He could
and
be
not
under
perjure
oath
himself and get sent to fucking prison.
Yes, because that's what they're dealing with here, right? After Jan 6, internal Slack showed Twitter execs getting a kick out of intensifying relationships with federal agencies. Here's trust and safety head Yoel Roth lamenting a lack of generic enough calendar descriptions to concealing his very interesting meetings with partners. So he says, "Hey, it happens. I'm a big believer in calendar transparency, but I reached a certain point where my meetings became ... very interesting ... to people, and they weren't meeting names generic enough to cover. Anyways, let me know." So he's trying to be like, "Hey, my calendar is like, I get it. I know transparent, but the names on my calendar dates aren't transparent enough because, you know, they're not generic enough to cover." He says, very boring, oh my God, very boring business meeting that is definitely not about Trump. Winky smiley face. He says, pretty much, definitely not meeting with the FBI, I swear. Laughing my ass off. So they're trying to find ways.
They're making jokes about it.
Yeah, they're trying to find ways at this point to conceal on Yoel Roth's calendar that he is not meeting with the FBI.
About Trump. Because if they have to release his calendar for some form of transparency, they also need to be able to say, no, that guy doesn't work for the FBI. That's this guy.
I'm just meeting with something very important about Trump. FBI, I swear. He's meeting with the FBI. He's got dates on his calendar that are describing meetings with the FBI about Trump.
While Donald Trump is in office.
Yes. Boom. These initial reports are based on searches from docs linked to prominent executives.
You know the worst part about that particular thing?
Tell me.
The worst part about that particular thing is that all of these fucking right-wingers that you have been trying to shout down for the last 6 years about how there isn't a deep state, just said, oh, I'm sorry, what's that? Deep state, bitch? What's that?
Yeah.
What's that about no deep state? You just said you're meeting with the FBI about Donald Trump while Donald Trump is president and head of the Department of Justice.
Yep.
Right? The executive at the head of the executive branch who happens to be in control of the Department of Justice, right? Definitely no deep state. Definitely no one. Get the fuck out. I don't care if I don't believe that. I don't care. You can't tell them they're wrong now because of what you just did, because of what you said, because of what you did. You can't tell them that they're wrong now. You're lying if you say that because it's obvious that that's what happened.
Yes. And it was obvious enough beforehand, right? It was obvious enough beforehand, but now we have receipts.
This lie is purple, bro. It's like a fucking bruise. It's so dark it's purple. It's not a white lie. It's not small. This is a fucking purple ass lie because it's so bold and you fucking hit it so many times that it's just 5 bruises stacked on top of each other.
Yeah, buddy. These initial reports based on search in the docs linked to prominent executive whose names are already public. They include Roth, former, and Vigigati, and recently plank-walked Deputy General Secretary and former top FBI lawyer Jim Baker. I knew it was going to be in here somewhere again. One particular Slack channel offers a unique window into the evolving thinking of top officials in late 2020 and early 2021. On October 8th, wait for it. On October 8th, 2020, executive opened a channel called US 2020 XFN Enforcement. Excuse me. Through Jan 6th, this would be the home for discussion about election-related removals, especially ones that involved high-profile accounts, often called VITs. So very important tweeters.
I hate all these people.
All the VITs, baby. So, hey, everyone. Starting tomorrow, October something until November 15th, this channel will be used for the following reasons related to U.S. 2020 elections. And they just go on to explain, like, hey, this is a private Slack channel that we're going to be using to talk about these things. And you could just see, tech bro much? This is what they're typing on Slack. So it's tech broy, obviously. There was at least some tension between safety operations, a larger department whose staffers used to rule more rules-based process for addressing issues like porn, scams, and threads, and a smaller, more powerful cadre of senior policy execs like Roth and Gade. The latter group were a high-speed Supreme Court of moderation, issuing content rulings on the fly, often in minutes and based on guesses, gut calls, even Google searches, even in cases involving the president. You're going to love this. So here's a perfect example. This is a tweet. Oh, shit, you can actually see it better this way. It says, it's from Donald J. Trump, and I remember this, too. I remember when all this was going down and be like, bro, this is not a great deal here. Breaking news, 50,000 Ohio voters getting wrong absentee ballots. Out of control. A rigged election from October 9th, 2022. Somebody, who will remain nameless apparently, a rigged election would be enough to be in violation, right? And then Roth comes in. If the claim of fact were incorrect, yes. And then he links, but it looks like it's true. And he links an NPR article that goes to an article that says 50,000 Ohio voters to receive new absentee ballots after error found. So he's just Googling to see if it's real. And be like, yeah, okay, no, that one's real. During this time, executives were also clearly liaising.
Like a liaison.
This is the first time I ever heard it in that text before last night when I read it, and I was like, I know what it means. Like, yeah, you're a liaison, but you're liaising.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, with federal enforcement.
Whoa,
baby girl. The blind dog must.
Yeah, to her.
Exactly. She's laying there trying to sleep. That's what she does now. She's a grumpy old lady.
He doesn't know where he's going.
She's like, neither do I, man. I got.
So I got scared. I got startled. The tiny dog stepped on me. Chloe.
Hey, baby. Come here.
Hey.
Come here, Papa.
Nice
Come here.
Him. He is old.
He just gets lost. This poor guy.
He doesn't know even where he's going. He's stretching right now. He doesn't know. He literally doesn't know where he is.
Come here, tiny dog.
So there's a light here. Is there a light over here?
Come here, tiny dog.
Oh, bud.
Come here, tiny dog. What's up, little buddy?
Up in the
Say
air
hi
now?
to the people. Say hi to the people, little tiny dog.
Oh, my dad.
I'm going to put you over here, bud. We'll get you on the right side of the law here. All right. Okay.
Till the cat finds him.
Well, that's a whole other. She will wrap him up like an MMA fighter, bro. It's a whole deal. Okay, so during this time, clearly liaising with federal enforcement and intelligence agencies about moderation of election-related content. While we are still at the start of reviewing the Twitter files, we're just at the start of reviewing the Twitter files, by the way. So we're only just getting started. We're finding out more about these interactions every day. Policy Director Nick Pickles. Nick Pickles, one of the greatest names ever, is asked if they should say Twitter detects misinfo through ML human review and partnerships with outside experts, end quote. The employee asks, I know that's been a slippery process, ... Not sure if you want our public explanation to hang on that. So, Nick Pickles, are you comfortable with marketing talking about misinfo by saying that we detect it through ML, human review, and partnership with outside experts? Essentially, he's talking about the FBI. How do you want me to talk about these intelligence agencies? I know that's a slippery process, so on and so forth. We just read that. And then Nick Pickles, can we just say partnerships? E.g., not sure we describe the FBI and DHS as experts or some NGOs that aren't academic. So we're meeting with FBI and DHS. I don't know if I would describe them as experts, so let's just call them partners.
We're meeting with them. We're using what they're saying as justification to censor people.
Yes.
And we don't think that they're actually experts, but we're still going to fucking do it anyway.
Yeah. We just don't know how to make it public. We don't know how to cover our ass on this one. How best do we cover our ass on this?
Because we don't even believe what we're saying.
Well, we know what we're doing, so let's just say, does this sound right? That sounds like a little too sus. Let's just I think we should just call them partnerships, yeah? I skipped the next one because he's just going over that second picture there. This post about Hunter Biden laptop situation shows that Roth not only met weekly with the FBI and DHS, but with the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. So FBI, DHS, and DNI.
And the DNI has like direct access to Donald Trump through the chief of staff.
Yes. All these people work directly for Donald Trump, essentially. Boom.
And they're meeting to talk about Donald Trump.
Yes. It's definitely not the deep state, though. But this is what's called the deep state. The deep state, 100%, we're in a partnership with social media giant Twitter.
The thing that makes I feel most uncomfortable about this is that I'm not, nor have I ever been a Trump guy.
All right,
But you literally can't not defend him because it's so fucking blatant at this point.
Yeah. That's the hardest part about all of this is like he obviously was a victim of the fucking deep state. And I don't like to say that but it is what it is. That's exactly what it is. So check this. This is an actual conversation here. So this is bot application so-and-so. This is Yoel Roth that's checked in. Here's what they said. So this is Yoel Roth talking, right? What's new since our last check-in? Hacked materials exploded. We blocked the New York Post story. Then we unblocked it, but said the opposite. Then said we unblocked it. And now we're in a messy situation where our policy is in shambles. Comms is angry. Reporters think we're idiots, and we're refactoring an exceedingly complex policy 18 days out from an election. In short, fuck my life. Weekly sync with FBI, DHS, DNI in regards to election security.
Weekly.
Yes.
Weekly.
The meeting happened about 15 minutes after the aforementioned hack materials implosion. The government declined to share anything useful when said. Monthly meetings with FBI, FITF, which is just another bureau of it, I think, briefed on several ongoing investigations. So this is from Yoel Roth, like updating what went down in the weekly meeting.
We blocked the New York Post story, then we unblocked it.
But said the opposite. Then we said we unblocked it. And now we're in a messy situation where our policy is in shambles. Comms is angry. Reporters think we're idiots. And we're refactoring a exceedingly complex policy 18 days before the election. In short, fuck my life. Weekly sync with FBI, DHS, DNI regarding election security. Hand in hand, bro. Hand in hand. Roth's report to FBI, DHS, and DNI is almost fractured.
What the fuck do they want from the federal government? They said the federal government refused to share anything useful when asked. Mm-hmm. What? What do you want to know that the New York Post did not tell you?
They're not going to help you, bro. Because they met 15 minutes after the whole New York Post fucking implosion. And they were probably like, well, is there anything you guys can help us with? They're like, I don't, there's nothing we could do, man.
Do we think there's any possibility in the world that the FBI doesn't know about the existence of the Hunter Biden laptop before the New York Post posts an article about it?
Oh, no, they absolutely did.
Then what the fuck do you want? Like, what could you possibly hope for? Because they know. The only thing they can do is tell you, yeah, it's definitely real. It's definitely real.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's why they're not going to say nothing. Oh, God.
You are such an asshole.
Yeah, she gets that way. She's fine.
He doesn't know what's going on.
Oh, no way! Shout out, girlfriend. She just got a flight with a layover. Fucking A. That's a trip, baby. That is a trip. Congratulations. You're awesome. Where's she going? I'm not going to tell you. I'll tell you after the podcast. I'll tell you the next break. I don't want to say it on the internet. Congratulations, baby. That's awesome. Carolina. And that's a good trip right there. I'm excited.
Good.
I'm very excited for it. Okay. Let's get back to the depressing news. Ross' report to FBI, DHS, and DNI is almost farcical. Farcical. Thank you very much. I'm going to blame that one on the beers, even though I know it's not the beers.
Well, hold on, because his sentence is Roth's reporting to FBI, DHS, DNI is almost farcical in its self-flagellating
tone.
Yeah, that's quite the sentence that he threw together. I love Matt Taibbi, but shut the fuck up.
I got a North Kids at education, all right? So that's fine.
I love him, but shut the fuck up. You're
and then he goes over
saucy at this point.
Yeah, so he just kind of goes over what we just read. That's fine. It's another problem with these things is they'll post it, you read it, and then he pontificates on the things you just read, stating exactly the same things. Some of Roth's later slacks indicate his weekly confabs with federal law enforcement involve separate messages. Here, he goes to the FBI and DHS respectively to go first to a, quote, Aspen Institute thing, then take a call with Apple. NYC, here I come. Okay, good. You said it, not me. Nice. Yeah, she's going like New York City. So, Yoel Roth. Hey there. I have to miss the FBI DHS meeting today, unfortunately. I swear you're on the invites for both as our site policy. Can you give me a quick readout if there's anything interesting that comes up? And this is Patrick Conlon, who becomes very involved at this point. He says, sure thing. I hope everything's okay. He said, yeah, mind you, they have no idea what the fuck's going on at this point because everybody's still working from home. If we all remember the landscape of what's going on during the 2020
they're
election.
all zooming in with to these
They're all
meetings.
fucking zooming in
Oh
and
my
having
God.
and then logging into Slack.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Hold on.
I love
Hold
this.
on. You're actively colluding with the federal government against the president of the United States so that you can collude with them, so that you can censor people on the internet, including the sitting president of the United States, and you can't even go into the fucking office to do it. You have to do it on Zoom like a millennial piece of garbage.
Well,
Get the fuck out of here.
Well,
Or whatever the government equivalent of Zoom is that's on a secure server that we can...
I would
Get the fuck out.
I would
you
guarantee
can't even
you-
have the conversations in person like you should have a respectable, secret fucking conversation.
just to make you even more mad, I guarantee you they were on a Zoom call. Like a legit Zoom call. There was nobody even thought to create government versions of Zoom
And the FBI
clones
cares
until well afterwards.
so little that like, yeah, that's fine. Zoom's
Yeah,
fine.
That's fine.
no
We'll just get
problem.
on there. So he says,
Less travel for me.
So
You've got to be. It's so inept. It's so inept and sad that they can't even like try. We're
love this
gonna
so much.
collude. We're gonna do horrific conspiracy-laden garbage. Can't even try all the way.
No.
We're gonna do the laziest fucking job that we possibly can because we're the federal government.
that's right, baby.
U.S. of A. baby, always top of the list.
This should surprise
It's so
nobody.
horrific. It's fucking sad. It's sad to watch. Not because it's my own government or because it's
Because it's bad TV
because it's
even.
so sad. Because it's so
Yes.
poorly executed. And you're the fucking FBI. You're the FBI. You're supposed to be the best of the best fucking Men in Black shit. We're that guy. You can't even collude. You can't even do what your job is and do something secret.
It's what is the old the it's not the king has no clothes. Is it the king that has no clothes?
The Emperor.
The emperor has no clothes. That's what this is. Did you there was a podcast a while back with from Lex Friedman. He talked to a former CIA guy, and he was talking about this whole thing with all these alphabet agencies, these secret intelligence agencies and stuff like that. They rely on their reputation alone. It's not through adequacy and responsibility and accountability. No, it's just the vague. It's the fucking FBI, man. It's the CIA. Of course, they know everything that's going on, man. They want those rumors to be out
Yes.
there because of their ineptitude, because they're going to be on Zoom chats. And let me just say this: if you like that, listen to Yoel Roth's reason for why he's not going to be attending this meeting with the DHS and FBI today. He says, just have conflicts on both times. An Aspen Institute thing this morning on vaccines that I have to present at, and then a call with Apple to avoid us getting kicked out of the Apple store during the DHS one. Oh, those both seem very important, he says indeed. So he's got an Aspen thing he's got to do, and then he's got a call with Apple to make sure they don't get pulled out of the App Store. So, we're going there. Because this was during the time Apple was like, well, fucking Trump's going to be on Twitter. We might have to pull Twitter off the App Store.
God.
Here, the FBI sends reports about a pair of tweets, the second of which involves a former Tippecanoe County, India councilor and Republican named John Basham claiming between 2% and 25% of ballots by mail are being rejected for errors. Okay, so let's read this again.
Tippecanoe
Here.
is named after a presidential candidate from like the 1800s. He ran with Zachary,
I just figured it was
Zachary
a-
Tyler.
Just figured it was a dude that got all fucked up in his canoe and tipped
No,
over.
it was the nickname of a guy, Tippecanoe and Tyler too. That was like,
I've heard of this.
Yeah, that was like their slogan when they
I'm
ran.
so glad you're well read. I have somebody to bounce things off of like this. Okay, so let's read this again, though. The FBI sends reports about a pair of tweets. This comes from the FBI. Take a look here. We just got a report from FBI concerning 2 tweets, and then they give the tweets. Do you have a moment ready for this one? I believe was deemed no VIO on numerous occasions. I still don't know what VIO means, VIO. That's been mentioned a lot lately. I still don't know really what it means.
Right.
The FBI second report concerned this tweet about John Basham. So this was John Basham's actual tweet. Editorial at the Democrats are in complete panic as their massive push for vote by mail is backfiring on them. 2 things are unfolding. 1, an unexpected number of registered Republicans are returning ballots, and 2, between 2 and 25% by mail are being rejected for errors. The FBI flagged a tweet, then got circulated in the enforcement Slack. Twitter cited PolitiFact to say the first story was proven to be false, then noted the second was already deemed no VIO on numerous occasions. So we just got a report from the FBI, blah, blah, blah. Yep, he just showed us that and then went over it again. The group then decides to apply a learn how voting is safe and secure label because one commentator says, it's totally immoral to have a 2% error rate. Both then give the final go-ahead to process initiated by the FBI. I think we can use the mail-in voting label for this one as is. So now they're talking about, okay, so here's a tweet this guy put out. The FBI sent us this tweet. They flagged this tweet for us. We got it sent to us from the FBI.
And told us why it's wrong.
And now we're going to go, okay, well, that one, yeah, we can't take, that one's dead because a PolitiFact says it's wrong. And then this one, though, we could say that's okay, just throw the label on it that,
It's
elections
not
are safe
even-
and secure.
It's not even influenced by the FBI. At this point, you're acting on behalf of the federal government.
Yes.
Like, this is no longer...
We're just sending you the tweets, bro.
You can't even argue on any facts that this is an independent company because it's working on behalf of the federal government.
Yes.
So the argument that even the most well-intentioned of us were tricked into, that's like, well, at the end of the day, it's fucking Jack Dorsey's company. He's going to do what he's got to do. He's going to do whatever he wants to do.
Yep.
Except it's not, because even though your name is on the front of it, your name is on the building. The FBI is fucking meeting with you every single week to tell you what you need to take action on. And in between the meetings, sending you tweets that they don't like and telling you how you should censor them, what labels you should put on them.
But technically, on paper,
But
the
because-
government isn't working on it. So
Because
technically, it's fine.
Because you made the decision yourself. It's fine. Twitter made the action because you, Yoel Roth, made this decision, even though you made the exact decision that the FBI requested on the exact tweet that they sent you, because you are the one that said, yeah, it's fine. We can use the mail-in voting label for this one as it's listed, because you're the one that said it. You're able to somehow convolutedly argue that you do the things yourself.
So examining the entire election enforcement Slack, we didn't see one reference to moderation requests from the Trump campaign, the Trump White House, or Republicans generally. We looked. They must exist. We were told
They
they
may
do.
exist.
However, they were absent here. So they've again, this just speaks to what they're going through and all this. They can't find what's going on here. And now I believe we're going to have an
In the
issue
Slack,
slightly.
in the Slack that they've gone through, this is just to restate that, in the Slack that they've gone through, they have not been able to find any requests, moderation requests, just like we saw from the FBI, from the Trump campaign, the Trump White House, or Republicans in general.
Okay. I'm going to have to do this again. There was a problem in one of the tweets that came by next. There was like a spelling error in it or something like that, he said, and so he deleted a portion of it and then had to go back and re-add it, and it's not here right now. It's not in the original thread, which is problematic. He reposted it later, But regardless, it has to do with somebody. I forget who exactly it was. Oh, it was Mike Huckabee. He posted something. It was a joke, and then it got banned. He got banned. Did the whole 9 yards, and they're having a debate about the joke and how if it's a bad joke, this and that. But the context behind the joke is what matters, so on and so forth.
Sarah Sanders' dad.
Yes, who is now who? What?
She's the governor of like
Alabama.
Alabama,
Something like
that's what
that.
it was. I was going to say Georgia, but I know that's not.
She's the fucking governor of a state.
First lady governor of that state.
Ooh, first lady governor.
Yeah,
we all love lady governor.
she's a fucking bulldog, dude. That's a female Ron DeSantis, right?
A cross-eyed
there.
bulldog, but
That's
you
a
know.
female Ron DeSantis. Not in political influence and breadth in the way they handle themselves.
But she's a fighter.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
She's a
Yeah, that's
female
right.
Ron DeSantis.
Gotcha,
She's a fucking
gotcha.
bulldog, just
Yeah.
like Ron DeSantis is. She don't have the same pull that he does.
She was Ron DeSantis before Ron DeSantis was a thing, bro.
Ronnie
She's the OG.
Yeah.
So anyways, he's going to make reference to that as we go along. But like I said, this is 68 fucking pieces long. So just tell me if you're ready to hit the eject button at any point. So this inspires a long Slack chat that reads like a Titania McGrath parody. I agree it's a joke, concedes a Twitter employee, but he's also literally admitting to a tweet in a crime, in a tweet a crime. The group declares Huck's an edge case, and though no one notes we don't make exemptions for jokes or satire, they ultimately decide to leave him be because we've poked enough bears.
We don't make jokes. We don't make exceptions for jokes or for satire.
But ultimately, we're going to leave them alone because we've poked enough bears. So, and then we move on to like a different kind of topic here, or different subject, if you will. Could still mislead people. The humor averse group declares before moving on from Huckabee. So they're just kind of going, well, let's just read some of their, whoa, let's not do that because I can't see that. Actually, I'm going to have to, if I think I zoom out, it'll get bigger again. Nope. Come on, Mike, come with me. Okay. So he says, hello. Putting this tweet on everyone's radar. This appears to be a joke, but other people might believe it. Can I get you weighing in on this? Your Roth says, ugh. He said, ugh. Yeah, I saw this one last night. Agree it's a joke, but he's also literally admitting to a tweet to a crime.
Roth is the one that said that.
Yeah,
I agree it's
so
a joke, but he's still...
Yes. So you got a low-level guy coming in.
Even though I told you that it's a joke,
yep.
I'm going to say he's also admitting to a crime. Even though I fucking just said it's a joke.
Yes.
What a fucking idiot.
Could still mislead people, but although misleading...
Joseph
is
Joseph,
here!
how you doing, buddy?
He's in the house.
With Trump and Republican members more likely involved. Why did you ban censor this person? Not will you ban censor this person? Yeah, that's probably...
Yeah, that's basically what... we're finding out why now. Because all these people just don't like him.
Well, and
they don't like none of this.
You said, I think you just got here. I don't know how long you've been here, but we were just saying Matt Taibbi has said they're going through the Slack channels and they're not even able to find any content moderation requests from Republicans.
Yeah. They were told they were there,
White House.
but they haven't found any. They were told they were there. They should be here, but we're not seeing them. And I highly doubt Jim Baker got rid of those. back when that was a thing. All right, so still could mislead people, but although misleading, in my opinion, I don't think I can unduly influence the election. Could still mislead people. Yoel Roth replies back, yeah, I could see us taking action under misleading claims, or quote, misleading claims that cause confusion about the established laws, regulations, procedures, and methods of a civil process, end quote. That's a policy. Wow. But it's not one that we could really label in a useful way, so it's removal of a stupid and ill-advised joke or nothing. I may be inclined not to remove without a report from voting authorities, given it's been a while since he tweeted it, and virtually all of the replies I'm seeing are critical and counter speech. I can't see Eridix. I don't some. Oh, I think those are. He's like P. Content, A. Rodericks, and R. Summers. What do you think? So there's we knew about P. Conlin, but we didn't know about the other two people, A. Rodericks and R. Sommers, who obviously are being blacked out in the rest of this tweet here. So, but there's two more names that we know now, which I think is very
Okay.
interesting. So we just don't know which one of them is saying what,
Okay.
but they're involved in this chat at some point. Somebody says, I tend to agree. I feel like it's really an edge case, and we've poked enough bears already. Conlin says, oof, I just saw this. Looking at the replies now to get a feel for how much confusion is being generated. Conlin replies again. Says a quick glance indicates that people aren't confused, but I have concerns under the policy. We don't make exceptions for jokes or satire. So while I doubt that Huck was really this stupid and is joking, I'm inclined to say that it should come down. Somebody else replies, I wonder how much of this is an attempt to play the ref prior to congressional heading, in that the goal is to get censored. But yeah, as Patrick says, the policy didn't have that carve out. And then somebody else says, the thrust of the joke seems to be that mail-in ballots are for the fraudulent votes, so I could see an argument for our mail-in voting label, but absent confusion, I'd also be inclined to leave the joke alone. So they're looking at the replies in this particular tweet from Huckabee and his joke that he did to decide how it's being perceived and whether or not they should censor and take down the fucking tweet.
Christ.
Whew. Sorry, that thing got really, really small.
Joseph says, I've been here from the beginning. Gerald does not strike me as a low IQ individual. Colin, defend your claim.
I don't like Gerald.
I'm
That's my claim.
I don't like Gerald. Oh my
No,
god.
dude,
I'm just listening
on
to the stuff.
every.
What are you cooking, Joseph?
Yeah, what are you cooking, man? I just really I like to find somebody on every podcast that I can just, for no reason, just dislike. I don't like the way Gerald communicates. It bothers me. It bugs me. It rubs me the wrong way. He's not usually wrong. Generally, I mean, he's gotten the channel taken down for reading fucking CDC statistics before.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of a G, but he's like a boomer dad, but he's not a boomer.
Yeah.
He's just so cringe all the time, bro. He's just, fuck Gerald. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm sure he's a very nice man, by the way. Anyways, this is just something I do. It makes life more exciting. We carry on. Oh yeah, I can zoom back in now and make this all big for everybody. Ross suggests moderating. Oh yeah, we go through this whole thing. We just went through this thing. In docs, execs often expand criteria to subjective issues like intent. Yes, a video is authentic, but why was it shown? Orientation. Was a banned tweet shown to condemn or support? Or reception? Did a joke cause confusion? This reflex will become key in January 6th. In another example, Twitter employees prepare to slap a, quote, mail-in voting is safe warning label on Trump tweet about the postal screw-up in Ohio before realizing the events took place, which meant the tweet was factually accurate. So here we go.
They're slapping warnings on shit before they even
do it.
before they verify whether or not it's even true.
Yeah, before they Google
So
it.
I wondered if that means that they're like they had an AI assigned his account to just.
They have multiple, which we'll get into
Great.
later. So, no, period. A rigged election. Donald Trump replied to an ABC 13 News tweet saying nearly 50,000 voters received wrong mail-in ballots. And then here we go. Yoel Roth. Trump just posted these two tweets. Check. A bunch of stuff. Learn how to vote by mail is safe and secure. Not sure what the process is for GET. Are we expecting to do the policy comms right up for this other tweet? Carbon copy Yoel Roth. Trump just posted. Oh, yep. Okay. Learn how we voted. Not sure what the process is. Okay. Jeez, all this fucking shit is so rough. Okay, so somebody posted that. Boom. Until So we'll have to wait until
CC
Yul
this
wakes
person,
up.
Yeah.
I've been on PTO, so not 100% up to speed. I've been on paid time off, all right? My understanding is, in both cases, is that the events took place and that the commentary about POTUS is his opinion related to these real events, so that there wouldn't be any labeling action violation on our side. Yul Roth says, yes. He says, yeah, those are factually accurate. Thanks for clarifying. This is just a fucking shit show, bros. Poor man's burnt ends out of London broil and tomahawk steaks.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
Good for you, sir.
Burnt ends are the best part of
Good
any
for
grill.
you, sir.
Jeez.
These are
And
just
a
more-
tomahawk, bro. That's heavy hitting
Yeah.
right there. I mean, you're a
this
master
is
of the
just
London
poor
broil
man's
yourself.
burnt ends, he says, with
What is that? What is a poor man's burnt end? I don't know
Right.
what that means.
because it's not. What is burnt
Are
ends
you
usually
just like
brisket?
cutting it up
Yeah.
and making burnt ends out of all
Right.
those? Because, fuck. I made a really nice steak the other night, too. Was that last night? That was last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
last night. It was very good.
These are just more examples of what were of the same thing.
Essentially, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's various. This one is congratulating them on speed for how fast they acted on a post. Well done on speed. Just going back and forth between these people. A seemingly innocuous follow-up involving a tweet from actor James Wood, whose ubiquitous presence is argued over Twitter data sets, is already a Twitter's file in-joke. So apparently all the people on this board over at Twitter had a lot of mixed feelings about James Woods and his tweets.
Yeah.
And they said that's apparently some kind of in-joke in the Twitter files.
They don't
people.
like James Woods.
They do not like James Woods, which is why they took James Woods off at one point, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And then he came back. Let's see. How we doing? You doing all right? You good?
Doing good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's plenty more to get
Yeah.
to. After Woods angrily quote tweeted about Trump's warning label, Twitter staff, in a preview of what ended up happening after Jan 6, despaired of a reason for action, but resolved to, quote, hit him hard on future VIO. Considering the PV2 bug outs this weekend, RE James Woods being so over the strike limit that our tools won't work on him, I suggest we action him for something worth the fiasco rather than screenshot, since we don't have a firm policy basis for action on his account. Yep. Are you fine letting this one lie? Blank. Can hit him hard on future VIO with firmer basis. So that was him because he screenshot something and posted it.
Yeah.
That's back when people were trying to get around algorithmic shit. If I'm gonna, instead of retweeting this thing, I'm just gonna screen post it and then tweet that out with a reply.
Right.
So they're trying to find workarounds. Here, label is applied to Georgia Republican Congressman Jody Hice for saying, say no to big tech censorship, and mailed ballots are more prone to fraud than in-person balloting. It's just common sense. If that's not the pot calling the kettle black, say no to big tech censorship. Well, let's censor you. Let's do it. Let's put a stay informed label on that one. Twitter teams went easy on Heiss, only applying soft intervention with Roth, worrying about the Wawa censorship optic backlash. So the quote tweet still shows up with the EDI, and the actual content Rep Hess says is low level. I think I'd lean towards just putting a MIB soft intervention on this rather than the full EDI. Yul Roth agrees. Colin says, yeah, I was just typing that. I think going too far down the rabbit hole of labeling critical speech is dangerous. It becomes a self-reinforcing Wawa censorship cycle. And Connolly, I'm currently responding to Judicial Watch's whining to public policy. I regret nothing, but I'm happy to iterate what rules they violated. So there's lots of examples here. This one was pretty good. Meanwhile, there are multiple instances involving pro-Biden tweets warning Trump, quote, may try to steal the election that go that got surfaced only to be approved by senior executives. This one, they decided, just expresses concern that mailing ballots might not make it on time. So now this is doing the contrast between pro-Trump and pro-Biden tweets, right?
Right. So they've decided that it's okay for Democrats to claim that Donald Trump might, and we asked questions about this leading up to the midterms, that it's okay for Democrats to claim that the Republicans might try and steal the election, Donald Trump specifically, but it's horrific and actionable for Donald Trump to claim that Democrats might try and steal the election.
Yeah, which is why we can't talk about our favorite HBO documentary with all the Democrats talking about voting machines. It's the same shit, bro.
Shout out Joseph. The Pell Grills are the shit.
You can't talk to me like this, man. That's
Shout
talking dirty, bro. Ooh.
No. I've done the London broil. I've grilled it a ton of times. I've done it on the smoker one time.
You're a master of the London broil,
Yeah,
good sir.
I have not done it up like some burnt ends though. That sounds
That
fire.
does sound stupid good. Poor
Yeah.
man's. Oh
Good
my
for you,
god,
Joseph.
Yes,
Good for
good
you.
for you. But also, you're kind of an asshole because now I'm hungry. That sounds really, really good. Oh, okay. So this is disgusting and terrifying. They're going to try to steal the election. We have 1 week. If you haven't voted yet, don't mail, drop it off, or vote early. If you can't vote, make sure your family is, unless they are Trump supporters. Just let them forget.
So he's
Hashtag
obviously-
vote them out.
So he's obviously not a Trump supporter.
Because he's replying to an ABC News story of Amy Coney Barrett being sworn into office, or sworn to the bench, or whatever the hell you say when
Yeah.
you get Supreme Court.
To the bench.
And he's saying, "This is it, man. It's over. They're gonna steal the election now." He says, "Hey team, can I get your opinion on this?" Shows the tweet. This is an edge case with commentary or ampersand, encouraging voters not to vote by mail. I believe we should label it. Colin says, "I think that I'd not bother with labeling this one. It's still encouraging people to vote, but expresses the concern that mailing might not make it in time, which seems fair this close to the election date. Still encouraging people to turn in their ballots in person or to vote in person."
Wait, hold on.
Okay, thank
hold
you,
on.
Patrick.
Hold on, you fucking dumb bitch. Hold on, you dumb bitch. Hold on. If you drop it off, if it's post dated by election day and they get it, then they'll count it.
I believe
Hasn't that been the claim the whole time?
I believe so. I believe so. Mind you, I'm trying to think back to like 2020 election time. There might have been conversations either way at the time. Maybe we didn't know which states would or wouldn't do it, and it turns out afterwards, obviously, everybody was like, "Yeah, no, it's fine. If it's post-dated, we count it," because that's generally the way the law works in most of these states, or all of these states. I don't remember that well,
I'm
but
sure it's all different.
you can
Or they are all different.
you can definitely see here that he's like, "No, bro, it's fine. We'll just leave it alone." He's encouraging people to vote. Don't worry about saying they're trying to steal the election.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. He says they're trying to steal the election. Donald Trump says they're trying to steal the election. It's the same thing. And I'm not arguing that the president has the same reach as whoever the fuck that guy is that was tweeting that. But it's the same thing.
It's
If
content
if
moderation.
you're going to label one, you need to label the other one.
Yes, it is moderating content. But what they're doing is moderating from a wholly one side of the political bias spectrum.
And
This is
it's-
a Biden supporter saying Trump's going to steal the election because Amy Coney Barrett's going on the bench. No, that's fine, man. They're still encouraging people to vote, so that's fine.
It's important to remember.
This guy, I would say,
It's important to remember it's not the individual cases that are important. The individual cases outline a trend that bends in the wrong direction.
yeah, it builds a totality. It builds a picture of what is actually happening here. That's understandable. Even the hashtag steal our votes, referencing a theory that a combo of Amy Coney Barrett and Trump will steal the election is approved by Twitter brass because it's understandable and a reference to a Supreme Court decision. Do you want to read the details on that?
A Supreme Court decision.
Hey team, can I get a second opinion on this one? We'll just show this one. So this is from a verified user. Check with your local USPS folks to see how slow the mail is. Also find out when mail-in ballots must arrive in your state. But mostly hashtag vote ASAP. Trump and his new Amy Coney Barrett SCOTUS will try to steal your votes, so our numbers have to be huge. So it's a get out the vote tweet, It's a get out the vote tweet. Hi, team. Can I get a second opinion for this one? Roth says, not seeing a violation here. Conlon says, I wouldn't label. I think that it's encouraging people to vote, but to be realistic, that a mailed ballot might not make it in time. Perfect. Thanks. You'll and Conlon. I was wondering about this part. Quote, Trump and his new Amy Coney Barrett SCOTUS will try to hashtag steal our vote. All good. Didn't even get a reply. He's like, well, I was wondering about this part, not the supporting your mail-in, but I'm good. That's understandable. Believe that it's a reference to the U.S. Supreme Court decision on processing mail-in votes that arrive after Election Day. Thanks, Conlon. Shilling, bro. Just shilling. In this exchange, again, unintentionally humorous, former Attorney General Eric Holder claiming the U.S. Postal Service was deliberately crippled, ostensibly by the Trump administration. He was initially hit with a generic warning label, but it was quickly taken off by Roth.
Because that means Eric Holder would be claiming that Donald Trump was intentionally
Trying to
interfering with the election.
Mm-hmm. And so they were going to put the label on it, but it was overruled. Hey, folks, can we reverse the label on this tweet? So he finds the tweet and asks him to reverse the labeling.
Let's see, what did Eric Holder say?
Eric Holder says, it's too late for us to use the mail. Given Supreme Court rulings, I urge everyone to now vote in person. Early vote or use drop boxes. Protect your health, but don't let the court and the deliberately crippled Postal Service deprive you of your most precious civil right.
Right.
Plan your vote.
Because Republicans haven't been arguing for years that the Postal Service should be privatized because it can't. It's running itself into the ground.
Yes.
Right? No one has been arguing that at all. Definitely not Republicans. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then he said, hey, folks, we removed the label on here. Working on reversing it now. Roth, can I have removed the moment label. I am still trying to remove the EDI. Removed. Excellent. Thank you. It's just incestuous, bro. Incestuous.
Yeah.
So later in November, we got 68 of these, by the way, and we're at 4 hours right now. How are we doing?
Well,
do you want me to keep going?
We have 2 more parts that we have to do. So
I know. I'm just making sure you're good. We're good.
What do you mean? Am I good? What are you asking me?
It's going to be a minute.
Yeah. Well, okay. We should maybe move on because we're 4 hours in and we got 2 more segments.
Okay.
That we got to do is what I'm saying.
Exactly. Okay. Good. So, but I think this paints the picture pretty well.
Yes.
Right? We got it. So we're more or less up to date on the Twitter tweets, except for the sideshow going on right now with removal of child exploitation material and Elon calling out Jack. This was tweeted out there by Mike Cernovich after a few more people on Trust and Safety resigned the other day. This was December 8th, so this was Thursday.
Okay.
3 of the heads of Trust and Safety resigned, and that's because Elon's working conditions, it's not a good place to work anymore, they don't trust him, so on and so forth. You all belong in jail, Mike Cernovich says, and on a New York Post article that says Twitter refused to remove child porn because it didn't violate terms of service, which prompted Elon Musk to get directly involved.
Because they allow porn on the website?
Well, yes. But it's still classified as illegal.
Right.
But it's hard for them to get at it. And so Elon Musk chimes in. He says, it's a crime that they refuse to take action on child exploitation for years at this point. And Jack chimes in and says, this is false. Elon says, no, it is not. When Ella Irwin, who now runs Trust and Safety, joined Twitter earlier this year, almost no one was working on child safety. She raised this with Ned and Parag, but they rejected her staffing requests. I made it top priority immediately. The 2 of them really got into it. One of these ladies that was on Trust and Safety,
Elon
by the way.
Jack did?
What's that?
Elon and Jack did?
Elon
and Jack got into it. You said these 2 really got into it.
Yes, they got into it right there. They're calling each other out on.
I wasn't sure if
in
you meant
public.
after that.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know what happened in the past years, but so on and so forth. And they had a few more off this thread conversations back then, but the 2 of them were just kind of sparring at this point. And last night, Eliza Blue had an open Twitter Spaces, like chat, where Elon Musk came in and talked about this whole idea, and they invited Jack to come. But I missed the space. I was, working on doing show prep and whatnot. It was all happening too fast. But so they met. I don't know if Jack ever showed up, but the idea was the two of them were going to sit there and hash it out. But apparently Elon's got the receipts that they did not, at least in his determination,
In his view.
go after child exploitation material in the fashion they should have, and that it's illegal.
Right.
And so
And
this
maybe
is an
doing-
ongoing case.
Right. So, in Jack's point of view, is saying that they did nothing is not correct.
Yes.
But they should almost definitely have been doing more.
But I think, as we have known at this point right now, Jack was not running his company. He was the
Right.
CEO in name only at this point. So he
There
has
seems
no
like,
idea.
What's her Vijay? I almost called it Pramila Jayapal. That's fucked up.
I mean, it might be one and the same.
Vijay,
Yeah.
she was effectively running the company with other people, not by herself. But
Yes.
she seems to have more control in the day-to-day operations of Twitter than Jack Dorsey does, which is not uncommon for like a CEO in a company, but still.
Mm-hmm.
To not have an idea of what's going on is not good. Like that's weird to
Yes.
not know. It's not weird to not be tapped into this day-to-day operations, but to not know what's going on the major fronts of the company is
Yes.
very weird and not very healthy, especially for a company you started. Because Jack is the one that started Twitter, right?
Yes. Yeah. And we know he got edged out essentially being just giving himself a title like that and only having, I think, at 1.3% ownership in the company or something. He was CEO in name only, but he was a good face.
Right.
They were still able to put him out in front of Congress, and they could keep him in the dark about all this stuff.
In name only, she says they were doing what they wanted and simply pacified Jack.
Yep. Well, because
So-
Jack, as the CEO, would be called in front of Congress, and they
Right.
gave him plausible deniability because he actually may not have known everything that was going on.
Just like Zuckerberg when he was on Joe
Exactly.
Rogan, he's like, I don't actually know about the specific conversations that happened because
Yes.
I didn't have those conversations, but I know the gist of it because I'm the CEO and I be running the bitch.
Yes, they become a tool of the machine at
Right.
that point. They're not necessarily involved anymore. So
Joseph says, somehow this all seems like a distraction. The info we got so far has been vetted by the FBI. What else might be going on right now, I wonder. And it's only the first part that was vetted by the guy from the FBI, right?
Yes.
After that, at least from what we know,
Yeah.
they seem to have had, Barry Weiss and Matt Taibbi, seem to have easier time accessing this information post Jim Baker being expelled from the company.
yeah, because they probably had to
doesn't mean that-
re-go over things. And
Doesn't mean there aren't more people in the company who work for the FBI, because if they didn't know
Exactly.
Jim Baker was still employed, which I don't,
I don't know about that.
how do you not know? How do you
Yeah.
not know?
Yeah.
There isn't one person in the company who knows that Jim Baker used to work for the FBI and he's still working for Twitter.
And who in the company knew that, but then didn't say anything about it?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's problematic. Obviously, it's makes things difficult for old Muskie as he tries to do what he's doing going
Yeah, and
forward.
we had also
but-
kind of touched on that earlier, Joseph, of it would definitely be beneficial for the world to be able to sift through, that's what I was looking for, sift through the Twitter files as a whole, because if there is more shit that Taibbi is not seeing, then someone will find it. The sleuths, the trolls and the sleuths. If we can't pronounce Matt Taibbi, then why not try Vagina Godly?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't think
That's
there's
awesome.
much else we need to see here.
No,
Because
that's
it's just
okay.
more examples of the same type of stuff.
Right.
So in closing, it's not just the fact that the government had portals into this stuff. It's the fact they were literally meeting with them weekly. They were sending them posts they wanted them to, quote, look at and take action on. I mean, this is 100% government collusion with a big tech platform. And I've said it 100 times already. I'm going to say it one more time. If it's happening on Twitter, it's happening at the rest of them.
Yeah.
Period. Definitely happening.
Do you have your Signal open on your computer?
Fuck, no, I don't.
Oh, I just sent you the, you know what I sent you.
I do know what you
what
sent
I
me.
sent you.
I know what you sent me. So we're going to have to wait just a second.
Yeah.
Because it should show up. Hey, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look
I
at
forgot to
that.
go through and pull those from last week,
Did you?
from last episode.
Oh, I can't even do the thing.
I meant to go through the other parts, you know what I'm saying? And pull through the ones to make them short. I completely forgot about it. I forgot that I did this the last time. I forgot. I completely forgot.
I forgot.
Yeah.
I wonder if it makes it bigger if I do half like that.
If you could
That works?
move it up, grab the bottom of it, like the bottom of the right there. Dude, that's perfect.
Look at you, teleprompter style.
That's perfect. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Don't worry about the producing that we're doing right now. This is just because we do a
Peek
live show.
behind the
Yeah.
curtain, baby.
Yeah. So of course, you guys are going to ask me. I'm going to ask you. What does this have to do with freedom and liberty? Right. This is what the show is about. Liberty. What does this have to do with freedom and liberty? After years of postulating, it is now obvious that private companies cannot be trusted to oversee our free speech on the internet. And as we know, the government is even less qualified. The internet needs to be a free access, open utility to be able to be used by everyone. This is different even than water or power because it's a tool used to facilitate the expression of our right to free speech, a freedom that must never be limited or contained in a free society. The collusion between big tech and government highlights the level of incest that has ruined any hope of objectivity or bipartisanship to be reached on the platforms.
I think that is very well spoken, good sir.
With that, we're going to take our next break. We'll be back in just a few minutes for part 3. We're going to be talking about authoritarianism around the globe and at home.
Let's do it. We will see you guys shortly.
Thank you very much.
Hey everybody, Colin here from Salt of the Streets. Thank you for watching today's edition of Salty Shorts. If you liked what you saw, please be sure to check out the full episode right here on the Salt of the Streets YouTube channel. Please give us a like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to share this with all your friends. And you too can become a spreader of the message of liberty. Thanks.
Welcome to the Salt of the Streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready.